closer, but time is not in his favor. He has a challenge, a shotgun close, and Wood's gonna get it!
Do some damage. Nicolai from the backside! Finds them again! It would be a big one. He's finding the first. Can he find it? Swing again!
What? Left in a 1v3. Make that a 1v2. Make that a 1v1. Oh my goodness, Nitro sell out. And who's gonna stop him?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first bout of elimination matches here in SCS Season 6, or, well, true decider matches, I suppose. By the end of tonight, one of these teams, or I guess two of these teams, in both these matchups will make it in. Two of them will be sent home. I am Lynx, joined by Benny, and the first matchup we have, Benny, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, the ARIAL Academy versus Wichita Wolves. Woo! Aw, Benny, come on.
What? How am I
Benny,
muted?
you silly boy.
He said, never mind. What? I'm getting trolled. I'm getting trolled. Our producer is trolling me.
Roommate eagerly told Benny that he was muted, and then I think he was in fact not muted.
Oh, anyway, here we are. So this is our group right now for today. Surf Esports make it through. They made the playoffs, beating ARIAL Academy, and Wichita Wolves beat their elimination match and, sent Nocturnes home. And now we have our decider match of ARIAL Academy versus Wichita Wolves.
So yeah, as you can see, obviously Surf made it in a while ago, and here, Benny, I have to say, this was, I will say, it's not surprising to me that ARIAL Academy are here. I still thought that Nocturnes might be able to pull it out, but it's still not a matchup that I think I would have expected to be the decider match. I always am a little bit partial to those CL teams, but ARIAL Academy have certainly had an all-right performance so far. It's been a series of close games all the way through. And going actually forward here, funny enough, the commonality between these two teams is they both played Nocturnes at one time. They both played a similar map pool, too. So, Benny, oddly enough, I think this actually, even though it might not be the matchup I anticipated, it might be about the most even matchup in Group B in terms of the skill. And I mean, well, it's a decider match. What more could you want?
Yeah, want to be competitive. Want to see some good games from these teams. But hey, it's unfortunate, though, because maybe Wichita Wolves isn't quite the roster, because of unfortunate changes you want them to be. Yeah. But still, hopefully, still a competitive match. And ARIAL Academy has been interesting because they've had some, weird games here and there. And there's still a poke stack in the end. But there's still an interesting team to see up fourth.
It's technically ARIAL Academy.
Yeah,
it's just, it's a triple A as opposed to a double A. But
it's not the triple A. It's not the triple A we're looking for.
No, not a. We're not there yet. But if you want to take a look at next to the leaderboard, take a more in-depth look at some of the teams, league overall, that sort of thing. How are these players stacking up? Well, oddly enough, the thing that is drawing my eye the most is the fact that MX Reaper is top into the entry game.
He literally had like a 13-1 game.
Yeah, no, he certainly went nuki in that one game. That kind of boosted his stats all the way up. But two of the actual leaderboard toppers are not some of those, CL or PL caliber teams. Of course, Sweater is the other two, so that's kind of funny, actually. Topping survivability and the rating overall. But we have a nice mix as opposed to before. I feel like it was very dominantly, there were like two two-faced players in there, two Surf players in there. Now, it's a consistent, two-faced Surf, but we have some Nocturnes in there, have some Mystic in there as well, though it's, again...
Yeah. Mikey Sweater from Carding Co. is in there too. Yeah, we got.
That is true. Yeah. I actually did not even realize that Mikey is number 5 in the rating. Good to see. Good to see Mikey finally return to form.
Wait, so isn't Eclectic out?
No, they're actually our second game tonight, Benny. You silly boy.
Well, that was not right.
I know that you won't be there for that, so you
no,
don't
I would
care.
not be. No, hey.
But yes, One Shot Eclectic will be our second game tonight. They've actually already played earlier on in the season, but for this game in particular, these teams have not played yet. So let's take a look at our first team in the series. ARIAL Academy. How are they feeling? How are they doing? Well, they've been doing all right. They've had a pretty close series of games, and, well, Benny and I, we mentioned it every time we cast them, did not exactly have the best introduction to ARIAL Academy in the match that we first saw them. But since then, they've had their struggles, but one thing that we can be certain about, they have a playstyle that is very characteristic and one that you can recognize immediately by watching them. One that is a little bit discoordinated, and that could hurt them at times, but it can keep teams on their toes. And for Wichita Wolves, they've had struggles in the past going up against that playstyle, that aggression. In fact, ARIAL knocked them out of CL by just peeking them and pushing every angle and taking every gunfight on the final map. Wichita Wolves lost and got knocked out of playoffs because of it. ARIAL Academy, if they're good enough, they can make that work. Could pick up a win here and knock Wichita Wolves out for another playoff spot, just like the main team.
Yeah, it could be that way again. And like they said, the Wichita Wolves team has always been a team that has problem with aggression. It may be even more so now that unfortunately they don't have Forrest on the team anymore. They have a sub in, and Smitty. But again, the big thing for me for like in terms of like between them and ARIAL Academy is just making sure you can stop that aggression and then being able to stop some of the players from really acting out. Spiker is probably the one main person we've seen from last week who was really playing at their game, doing those entry frags, just getting aggressive and things you would expect. So those are the kind of members you got to figure out. Just intel game is huge here, just to make sure you can stop that aggression.
And again, as Benny aptly mentioned, not having Forrest on the roster, they didn't look terrible. They didn't look awful. Smitty can certainly hold his own, but it's more so that nobody can replace Forrest in terms of that caliber of a player. Forrest just was one of the most explosive players through all of CL, continuing here in SI quals, continuing it here in SCS. It's not that Smitty can't hold his own. He certainly could. In fact, Wichita Wolves won their series against Nocturnes with Smitatius, their analyst, in play. They can win series with Smitty. He is a good player, but he's not Forrest, and that's no fault of his own. Just hard to replace that level of skill.
It is. Well, let's see what we're going to today for our battlegrounds against these two teams. And like you said, the map pool is gonna be interesting because these are similar maps we saw against their game against, between Nocturnes, both these teams. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. Though we'll go to Cafe first for Wichita Wolves, go to Villa for ARIAL Academy, and the Coastline be our decider. And hopefully we'll see. I like to see that Coastline game, but I don't know if I actually get there or not.
I do too. I mentioned earlier, obviously there's some commonalities between these two teams. Both teams have played Surf, both teams have played Nocturnes, the other teams in their group. ARIAL Rise Academy faring a little bit better against Surf, the playoff team out of Group D than Wichita Wolves did. But here in their game against Nocturnes, which had a similar series of maps, specifically Coastline as the decider, both won at 7-5, both had a very close game against Nocturnes. So going forwards here, I don't know. Honestly, Benny, obviously, in theory, I'm leaning towards ARIAL Rise Academy. We can pull up our predictions. So are a lot of people in the talent in the production as well. I think it should be a little bit more even. I don't think it'll be as one-sided, but at least for me, I think that Wichita Wolves and their history of maybe not always being able to keep up with unpredictable aggression, which is ARIAL Rise Academy's bread and butter, I think it'll be enough to take a win today.
I think so too as well, because we even saw the fact that their unpredictable aggression was somewhat competitive against Surf, and Surf was that team we expect to just win gunfights, be aggressive. And ARIAL Academy were going somewhat toe-to-toe. Depends how you see it, what map you're talking about, but it was still a competitive game between the two teams, so I expect them to win as well here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Wichita Wolves will prove us wrong, and they got that on.
It's okay.
It'd be interesting to see. I'd love them to prove us wrong though, because I think a lot of us here are like, nah, there's no way. They got us. Wichita Wolves, they ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's not a foregone conclusion that ARIAL will win. I do think, this could be a 3-mapper, but it is one of those things where, okay, they have a sub. Do we want to root for them? I mean, after all, subs, even in-game, can sometimes be deceptive. We saw One Shot play with their coach Casanova. They won the map the coach was subbing in, and then lost the next 2 maps when they had their full roster at a much more dominant margin than they won map number 1. It's just, it can go any way, it feels like at times. Wichita could certainly win this, maybe even at 2-0. We're obviously leaning a little bit more towards ARIAL Rise Academy. To start out, though, to talk about some of ARIAL's flaws, of course, we've talked about how ARIAL could match up against Wichita. Yeah. On a map like Cafe, one big thing, if we have, say, roams off the site, which ARIAL Academy will likely go for, they do like to have a couple players off the site. One thing they struggled with in their series last week against Surf was rotating properly. Sometimes teams would start out in certain positions, and then when they would try to move back, they'd be in off position, sometimes even to the extent of frozen, as smoke would be off-site smoking down below and would just sort of leave the site free. They could push through that utility and take the site for free. On a map like Cafe, that could really bite you if you are going for some extended roams. If you're placing yourself in awkward positions and leaving the site undefended, it's a problem they had last week. It'll certainly bite them in map 1 here if they haven't fixed it.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like there's just a little bit oversight sometimes on the strategy when it comes to just, timing and playing the round white. So it'd be interesting to see if they have, I don't know if they scrim or not because they're pug stack. I'm not sure if they've actually went through and actually try to fix these things. And again, I know they're playing this for fun because they don't really want to play Siege as seriously as much more. So I don't know per se, but we'll see, I guess. It's Cafe. And the question is too, is how much has Smitty practiced with this team as well? Are they actually expecting to be like that full sub for the moment?
Well, that's the nice thing about playing with, say, member of sports staff, whether they be the coach or the analyst. I mean, they're there for scrims day in and day out. So if there's anybody who, at least strategically speaking, can slot in without much of an issue, should be Smitty. Again, it's more so what they're losing. That's the problem. Getting into the operator bans, of course. For ARIAL Academy, I wouldn't expect anything crazy. Probably a Thatcher or hard breach ban.
Yep.
Thatcher taken off the board. It's consistent with some things they've done previously. But again, with ARIAL, it really just kind of depends on what they want to go for on the day.
Yeah, let's see what they can ban next. Is it going to be a Flora? Is it going to be a hard breacher? Is it going to be Zofia?
Oh, okay.
I guess that's been like Wichita Wolves like kind of banned. It's been consistent. It's always been banning Zofia for whatever reason.
Well, I mean, we saw them ban it twice against Surf specifically to try to counter that aggression. Not a bad ban if you're trying to take down ARIAL Academy. Well, my ban, following it up next, again, one that certainly makes sense. I don't know if it's a super common ban for Wichita, but on Cafe, where spots like Pixel are heavily layered with ADSs and magnets, can be a bit easier to just take on some of that projectile denial, and taking out Mira as well. Cafe is probably one of her stronger maps. Very common ban, not just for Wichita, but for teams in general. So overall, I'd say this ban phase for both the teams involved in the map, pretty standard. Nothing all that crazy.
Is Valkyrie available, though?
That is a good point. And we know whenever Valkyrie is left up on Cafe, Harrison always makes a point to describe how Cafe is just one big rectangle. And that means with those cameras, you can get a lot of sight lines outside if you want to get aggressive.
Yeah, until that's what I was wondering. People talk about too is if they, once they add that change where you can't throw cams outside, actually, will it drop her ban rate?
Actually, it's really funny that you mentioned that. Part of the reason Surf, I think it was Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, yes, it was Wichita, because I remember Reed suffered some of this. Ashen basically was default dancing on Wichita Wolves on Valkyrie. He was going camps outside, going for spawn peaks, going for C4s outside that would seem to always land. So if ARIAL Academy have read into that, if they took a look at that Surf game, this is not their map pick, this was Wichita's, but if they still looked into that, that was something that Ashen used to great effect. I will say, Frozen is not Ashen, both literally and qualitatively. Very different players. Ashen is a mechanical freak. Frozen is not that. Not say he's bad mechanically, but Ashen is just that good. What'd you say?
He's strategically a freak. He's got his strats down, so.
I suppose. And hey, if he's cooked us some strats about a black eye cam outside or a C4 from the top ropes, go for it. But I still think it can be something exploited, no matter who's playing it.
Yeah. Well, so far it looks like just making holes and playing verticals in the first part. Because again, like you said before, they can be roaming. This team has been just roaming aggression, taking fights. Playing for the early picks has been their motive, been their, go-to for the moment. And we'll see if Wichita Wolves, what are they going to do? Are they going to actually go for the roam clear? But no, actually, they're pushing straight in. As you go pushing code check already, cleared by Freak. They're pushing straight to site. And like you talked about, that isn't the issue, is they're so far from site that it allows teams to take control of site quickly, based on how fast they're pushing. Spiker taking heavy damage as he's playing VIP, but this allows people to push forward. Spiker push forward, takes the kill to Smitty, and down goes some of that aggression. Haven't taken control of site quickly enough. Looks like they're trying to maybe capitalize on the rotates of the defenders.
And well, Dami slowly creeping down. There's one inside of main lobby. He's now revealed his position, so Dami likely not taking that fight after Mo ripped some shots over towards his way. Never mind, he's pushing the issue. Trying to get aggressive, he rotates out. Unfortunately, right as it happens, two members of Wichita Wolves both get on the scoreboard when it comes to frags. Dami whiffs his shots. Now Spiker, the only one left. He's gone huge. ARIAL Academy in the past. He's got both kills so far. Ooh. A nice shot for the third. Now in the 1v2, it's a lot more manageable. Mo on low HP. Reed slowly pushing into the site. He's made his way there and might catch the smoke off guard. But can Mo fully cover this position? That's what I'm wondering. If Spiker can win this fight, the round is very winnable, but the smoke has managed to creep back out by Longbar. Here's Mo's position. He's not currently watching. Woo! Easy, nice shot for Spiker. Now with the rotate off, he might be on low HP. Reed definitely winning in that department. He has the advantage of surprise here. Exactly. He's so far
away.
Ooh, Reed falls off the plant. He has so much time, minute and a half. He has time to try and play this, and it's on Spiker right now, but I don't know, Benny.
This is such a tantalizing moment because nobody knows what anybody is even. They're just waiting for a sound cue, something to give them that cue. But Spiker's so far away, I don't think he hears him planting the diffuser. So Reed can just go ahead, plant the diffuser,
He'll know now.
Pay for it. Well, he's gonna know now, of course, yeah. But his Spiker's so low as well. It just takes one shot from Reed to finish this round out.
I think.
And Spiker has a quad kill. This could be his ace to start us off, but again, he has no clue where Reed is. That will just give Reed the information. He knows where he's coming from.
Ooh, but Benny, he's trapped right now. He is trapped in this corner. And if Spiker knows his position, he can land the crush. No! So close for Spiker, starting out with the ace clutch, but nope. Here we go. Reed instead able to seal it out in the end. Spiker can't land the shot. An explosive very tense first round, but it
He
still goes the way
pre-fired
of Wichita.
too. So
He did.
close.
That was so sad. That would have been incredible. But Benny, the sad thing is like, how many times have we casted Aerial Rise Academy on this map, and that's happened to them? Is like,
hey, dude, Spiker got his ace last time though.
On Kitchen specifically.
Okay, yeah, I'll say on this map though, I would say at least Spiker got his ace on Coastline with that C4, yeah, 3 people and then killed 2 more. So at least he got his ace on Coastline. But we've seen so many 3Ks, 4Ks from Spiker just trying to win out rounds for his team. And that's what I said before. Like, this team is decent, but Spiker carries so much of it sometimes, not all the time.
Well, going forward here, Aerial Rise Academy will say, you know what? Spiker is the only one with kills in this team, and we're only 1 round in. Let's not go back to that site. No, instead go all the way up to Cocktail. And I honestly think that's good. Again, I mentioned it before. I've watched Aerial Rise Academy play Kitchen a couple times now, and the amount of times I've seen teams like you just say, "Oh wait, Kochek is free, bottom red is free, long bar also free. We can hit the site in about 45 seconds once we take that control." It's happened multiple times now. That side is just not one of Ariel's strongest, what we've seen so far. Moving up to Cocktail, it's a lot more standard. Positions like Pixel can allow them to get aggressive while there is no Wamai on the board. So if Dami's playing behind that shield, it's going to be a little, or I guess in this case, it might be frozen. We'll see. You have to rotate back a little bit quicker, but it will still allow them to get aggressive, maybe peek those windows if they really want to get aggro.
Did they put those ADSs there last time we casted them on this map?
You know, I believe they did. What happened?
And you could just shoot it from white window.
Yes, you can just rappel up white window and shoot them. But they're going. But Wichita going for a cocktail take, so no big. Oh wait, actually, is it gonna happen again?
Oh, no, nobody's got the white window. Oh, actually, well, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. That's funny if it did though. Oh wait, hey, first pick though goes to Freak though. Returned though. Vena's got one froze with another. There's just like this aggression on the windows, and they're just taking fights as they're trying to repel up.
Things have progressed very quickly, and this time, as opposed to the previous round, the man advantage actually goes the way of Arial. They're the ones who come out through that initial skirmish with the lead in man count. Still some good positions from Wichita that can be used to good effect. You see Call Out tossing a nade down, destroying that shield on Cocktail, so Venatorial. Oh wait, actually, I think that nade might have missed. Never mind, I thought it landed. Instead, Venatorial could still play behind that deployable shield, but Spiker is the one bearing the most pressure right now. He puts Freak down to extremely low HP. With the pings giving away the Ash's position, he'll start rotating off as there's nothing really. Never mind. Wow. I was going to say stopping Freak from destroying that shield, and nothing stopping Call Out from giving his life away in the exact same way. Both players just try to catch the alibi off guard, but by pushing one by one, allow Spiker to isolate those engagements and also allow Frozen in this 1v4 get an easy freebie to even the round count up.
Yeah, that was not much. We didn't see the initial picks. Unfortunately, Freak gets the first pick on Hypers, but then otherwise 2 kills go in the way of Aerial Academy, leaving just 2 people alive. You saw 2 try to push in Piano, and well, they just show the shield, like Link was talking about. So they just gotta, I guess, somehow just dry peek the shield, and Spiker plays perfectly around the shield. Just kills both of them.
Even then, like, I mean, I suppose they were a little bit out of burn, so they couldn't really do much. Yeah, no, never mind. I was going to say they could at least try to maybe Ash charge the shield. But
the only thing I say is maybe if they peek together, maybe. That'd be the only thing. But even then, like, you're playing against a shield. He's just going to pop up and kill both of you, really.
Yeah.
Unless you pre-fight, like, both of you pre-fight at the same time, it's difficult. So, and unfortunately, just a lot of that skirmish just came down to the early point. Losing 2 players early on and then not really having much utility to clear Pixel or really make a push. So, good on Aerial Academy. Again, that early aggression seems to be working in their favor, at least that round. We'll see how it goes this round, though.
Well, yeah, here we're moving to Kitchen. 2 things I like. 1, Hypers is taking the Valkyrie. No disrespect to Frozen, he's been doing well with her so far, but Hypers is just a kind of player, very aggressive, likes playing very aggressively, especially if he has intel. So giving him the Valkyrie, I think, it's definitely a good stylistic choice in terms of the operator selection. But more importantly, Frozen is going to the Echo, so he too can play off of that intel. But one of our biggest annoyances with Aerial Rise Academy, the ability to leave the site unclear or leave coat check unclear or uncontested, giving it to the attackers very quickly. Here with those Yokai drones, if Wichita Wolves try to go for an early hit of the site like they tried last time, they have direct intel here to stop any kind of play from happening in or around the site on the first floor.
There doesn't seem that many people are actually roaming this time, actually, from Aerial Academy. They're actually playing for that first floor roamers that are just, well, Hyper's the only one that looks like upstairs. So it looks like there is some kind of maybe intel. Maybe they're throwing cams upstairs to see what's going on, see if they can read into the push that Wichita Wolves are doing. But it looks like, yeah, actually for once, Aero Academy aren't playing nearly as aggressive as they've done in the past, which is, I guess is nice. Looks like they want to change things up. They actually want to win these rounds and actually adapt as they go on, which is good to see from them. And basically Hyper with the C4, looking to maybe get intel from his teammate, who could be in a cam for him to tell him if one's dropping. Here's drop. The Yokai's actually the one droning from right now. He sees one, it's going to be the general kit, of course, and they'll actually destroy that Yokai on top of it. So, unfortunately, nothing really comes of that aggression.
Yeah, very aggressive use of that Yokai. Might be a little bit of a misplay, of course. I mean, they did get info on the players dropping Red Hatch, and it was trying to facilitate a C4 play by Hypers. Yeah, wow, that is a hell of an Electroclaw right there.
To get the hatch.
Yeah, I think I've actually seen that one before.
I've never seen that.
Now, obviously when the attack rotates up, odds are they're not going to be looking outside, so you just throw it out, Electry the hatch right there. Honestly, not a bad strategy. It's very clever. I dig it, but going for it there, losing the Yokai could be problematic, but it's still a minute and a half of the round wasted. Frozen is likely keeping the other one inside of the site. Worse things have happened, and Hyper still has a C4. So here we see. You don't have a sledge on the board, but we see either Freak or Reed going for those breach charges. Something big could happen, and they can still wait for Freak to step back over that spot.
I guess, is there intel inside of Train to play off of this, or they're just playing off of sound at this point for the C4? They have two hands, and looks like Hyper's also throwing his up into the, on the ceiling. He's just waiting for a call from somebody to explode it, or a sound call. But yeah, it looks like they've opened up the freezer hatch, so that looks like Electric Claw wasn't quite as effective as it would be. I don't know how they got rid of it, or if they just destroyed the hatch by other means, maybe by putting it around the hatch. Don't know. But it looks like the Electric Claw won't do much for them, and so far at this point, it's just Wichita Wolves have to make something of this vertical play. They're opening these holes up and see if they get any kills. Otherwise, they have to transition to that first floor where we see members of Aero Academy are waiting around the site to stop them in the first place. So we'll see. Well, it's come down to 40 seconds, and so far, nothing's really come down.
Yeah.
Oh, Freak just jumps in. Smitty kills Spiker elsewhere. Oh, probably by VIP. Reed with another kill. Great one from has two on the dummy. And there's the site is in their control. It's now down to just one member and Frozen. He gets one kill, but he's down to just trying to stop the plant, which he does with the Yokais.
And it's just a knock Reed off, but there's still so many players, especially now that Frozen has revealed his position, that will likely be eyeing over towards Prep where he is. And, ooh, gets on the Yokai at almost the right time, with just half a second too late. Fortunately, can't stop the plant. Now Mohes cleans that up pretty easily. Big worry right there, of course, for Wichita Wolves. They're pushing in a 5v5. How are they going to make this work? Well, it doesn't really matter that much if you're able to push in and win those fights, I suppose. So even though they didn't do a lot, lack of a sledge very much inhibited the vertical play they could go for. They just had a couple breaches, and beyond that, it's fairly empty for Wichita. Just pushed on in. They're able to win those fights. Could have been a lot more hairy, but it was decisive in the end.
Also, yeah, that's just get rid of the person in VIP, so you can't go for that, that smoke play, try to stop him pushing in. And then from there, just the rest of the defense seemed totally unaware that was going to be a drop from Fraser, it seems like. Awfully, totally not really waiting for that fight or expecting it. Just a full drop from the members on Wichita Wolves. So 2 in a row for Wichita Wolves. Well, not 2 in a row. 2 and 4 of them right now. We go to a different side this time because they've only won Bar and Cocktail so far. So they're not going to try Kitchen again for a second try. They're going to go to Reading and Fireplace. And well, this site does, I would say this is probably maybe a better site to roam on. Hard to say. We'll see if you actually kind of need the roam though. So yeah. I will say also, Wichita Wolves haven't bringing a soft reacher though at all. So maybe not.
No, we've not seen a buck or a sledge at all so far. They've been very reliant on those breach charges for Freak, and Reed. Of course, problem there is, say, if Reed gets taken out early on, like he has been in I believe the first round it was, or no, second round, excuse me. In the second round, all you really have are Freak to get those breach charges down, and on Reading, it's not like you need a lot. If you're just able to even get a couple holes open, it still does a lot for your execute once you transition to the bottom floor. But it's still one of those things where you're lacking nades, even though you have 4. You're lacking nades combined with that soft destruction. It's not a bad decision, but it is something lacking where I think, especially with how limited their breach charges are, if one player falls, Freak, for example, the entry could very easily die. It's a bit risky.
Yeah, I don't know if 3's, if one of them does die, I don't know if 3 is even enough really to get those vital spots to go for a plant. If you are going for a default Reading plant, maybe they're going for a train execute, hard to say, but I don't know, 3 seems not a lot to deal with it. And so far, looks like they are trying to roll, they're clearing upstairs, looks like they're droning it, seeing what's going on. One's on the window, great pre-fire, does damage to Reed, not enough though, it's still kind of his position. Dami taking heavy damage in return though, just kind of sitting in the same position. He pre-fire when it dropped though, the call just drops right in Dami's position. He's just under siege. They pushed into balcony, and he gets taken out by Smitty. Smitty with 2 kills entering into Cocktail.
Good, very good play by Smitty there. We'll say maybe a bit of a miscommunication between Callout. Thought they had Dami a bit more pinned than they did. Maybe Smitty mistimed it. I don't know. He's able to wrap things up pretty nicely. Sure, you lost Callout. Finka, not a terrible loss, but the big problem here, even though they cleared out the Jaeger, well, never mind. I thought Spiker might have actually got that kill, but instead Freak picks up 2 as Frozen tries to help out the retreating Alibi, trying to move down red stairs. Venatorial all alone on the site. Nobody there to support him in a 1v4. Very familiar position for Smoke players so far. For Aerial Arise Academy, it feels like. Taking a similar page out of Spiker's book, too, he'll begin rotating out of the site to try to play for a retake later on, or catch the players inside a pillar off guard. But in the 1v4, Wichita Wolves have plenty of bodies to cover all these angles, and also plenty of time to get intel in his position. 1 minute and 18 seconds left before the end of the round. They can take some time, drone inside a train if they want to spot Venatorial, but even if they don't, again, 1v4, you can watch, send 2 people all watching the exits to that site, to that room, allow the bomb to go down, relatively uncontested, and there's not much Venatorial can do unless there's a major misplay by the
when
Wolves.
He's not looking.
That is true. He does peek when he's not looking, but oh no, a lot of missed shots. Basically, entire mag whiffed by Venatorial. 3-1 for Wichita Wolves in the attack right now.
Yeah, that round Destiny 2 is just really the big thing was just getting Rome was again Aero Academy put so much stock into the Rome. It's usually 3 or 4 members are on the Rome, and every single time so far, Wichita Wolves have dealt with that Rome again and again. And yeah, it's just that round. You saw 2 kills already. We start us off from side of Dami or onto from Smitty. Walks into Cocktail, gets 2, and then elsewhere you see Freak get 2 of his own. And that point, it's a 1v4 at that point because the only person who got a kill was Dami, who killed Callout when he jumped down Skylight. Like you said, it was unsynchronized, but still it gave Smitty the 2 kills he needed to, and Freak elsewhere gets 2 picks of his own. So it worked out, I guess. Callout was just the sacrifice.
Yeah. Honestly, maybe that was the play he was going for. Sacrifice himself, distract Dami from Smitatius jumping in on the cocktail balk. I don't know if that was the play, but if it was, it certainly worked. Plus, while you're losing nades, you aren't losing that much in terms of utility for Finka. You lose those nades, but it's honestly about it. Especially if you get 1-2 kills on top of that, that's definitely a trade going Wichita Wolves' favor. So maybe that was their strategy. We are seeing him rotate to the sledge here, though, and it is on a site where his vertical destruction won't be used at all because, well, you can't. But you still have that set of nades, good gun as well, so not going to fault it by any means. The same setup also from Aerial Arise Academy. Not many changes throughout, though. That Valkyrie is still changing hands between Frozen and Hypers. Frozen has been doing a little bit better statistically in terms of the aggression department, so maybe it's actually not as bad of a decision or a much better decision than I initially gave it credit for. I'll go with that wording.
Well, we'll see this time it's any different though, because last time it was just again those first 2 picks when it came to this round, they went in the way of Aero Academy. Just kind of paved the way to make it difficult for Wichita Wolves to really clear anything at that point. So we'll see if there's a time. This like they're pushing into train, maybe pushing below. If you go for a cocktail attack here, because they're going for that play, because like, all right, trying to hold Cigar for as long as possible. But so far, I'm not totally sure what's going on. C4 thrown maybe onto the roof, doesn't kill anybody, doesn't get a kill, just throwing out as per usual aggression from the side of Aero Academy. Otherwise, looks like they're on the windows trying to see if they can pick off a member over at Pixel, but nobody's peeking their head out from the side of Aero Academy.
That's good. No need to give away manpower early on. They are giving away these C4s like it's candy, though. Both of them used in the first minute, and not a single bit of damage done to a member of Wichita Wolves. It's not like there hasn't been any intel in that position, but there you go. Not a C4, but Frozen gets a little bit aggressive, catches Smitatius off guard. Was the only player over on by white stairs on the cocktail side of things. So take down utility pretty easily. No more nades, no more gun. But most importantly, take it down one of those entries who so far maybe hasn't been the most impactful, but has been doing okay. Well, Hess now gone as well. Spiker decides to ego challenge those cigar windows, but Callout's there to watch his exit outside a bathroom. Fells him pretty easily, but it's still Aerial Arise Academy in the first half of the round, coming away the victor.
Not even that, just not even kills, but just in progression as well. Like so far, Wichita Wolves hasn't made any progression in the map. Sure, I think they destroyed the shield and Pixel, but they haven't taken control of Red Stairs. They haven't made their way into Piano at all, tried to open the walls up. So far, they're still outside the map. So there's still a lot for Wichita Wolves to do here when it comes to the execute. They've only got a minute left too, and I don't think anybody's entered the building. Looks like Freak may be the first one, maybe jump through stage, get control of Piano, or you'll be the one there. He's going to push through, make sure he can clear Piano, clear bathroom for the rest of his team to push through. Another question is, what is the X going to come through? Someone's going to make a play here for Wichita Wolves. The dying time and no real control. Someone's going to make a play that they wouldn't expect, and that's one of them. College is on the window on Cocktail. Nobody expects that. Ven and Dami, though, just denying that push from the Skylight, from Piano. It's down to just call out in a 1v3. He's on the windows on Cocktail. He doesn't have the diffuser. He's not been in the map yet. It's kind of obvious at this point for ARIAL Academy to take this.
Yeah. You'll rotate over to Cigar, but diffuser dropped inside a site, as you can see on your screen. Not many options for Callout to do. We have seen ARIAL Academy get very aggressive in the game so far, so very in all likelihood of all the teams playing right now, it is one of these players who could get a little bit over-aggressive, though with the smoke landing right in front of Callout, detonating in his face. Sound cue will give his position away, and he cannot peek in time, as everyone for ARIAL was all stacked up in Freezer, in this corner. There was no way he was coming away with that with more than one, maybe 2 kills if he was really something. Not tied up just yet, but if ARIAL win one more, it will be.
I don't know, I guess if they tie it up, though, is that to be expected at this point? Or it's hard to say because these defenses from ARIAL Academy have been so aggressive that I don't know what to expect on the attack anymore. Also, did we see them? We even see maybe we saw them attack. What was the last time we saw them attack Cafe? Was that the In Control game? Was the only time we saw them attack on Cafe?
It might have been. Let me check.
Because otherwise, if that's the only thing I can talk about,
memory.
if that's the only data I have on them doing attacks on Cafe, they ain't looking good.
No, they played Nocturnes.
Okay. So I couldn't remember. I didn't watch that game, so I wouldn't know. But that was a close one, though, wasn't it, too?
Yeah, it was very close. They won at 7-5, but it was close throughout.
So we'll see. I'll see how their attacks go on when they go to the slip slide. So we still have one more round, though. It's not just there yet. We still have one more round from ARIAL Academy in their defense. We're going back down to the kitchen, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong, actually.
Nope.
No, we're going to reading, aren't we?
Yes.
Reading and fireplace. All right.
Defended every site twice so far, but the only one that's been successful for ARIAL has been Cocktail on that top floor. The issue here with reading last time was Wichita Wolves just had a very solid clear of it. Might have resulted for just sending Callout in through the Skylight and using him as a sacrificial lamb. Who knows? Another thing to note, as you can see on the Did You Know section of the screen right next to Spiker's name, Wichita Wolves have planted 3 times so far, and every time they've done that, they won. Appears to be a pretty solid win condition for Wichita Wolves so far. If they get that bomb down, or even in a position to get that bomb down, they usually end up winning the round. If ARIAL want to try to even this up 3-3, trying to put as many obstacles in Wichita's path could be pathway to victory.
Well, I think stalking 4 people in a room and having them all die is also an issue.
Well, there's placing obstacles, and then there's just giving your life away.
It's obstacles and bodies.
There's an intricate but important difference.
Well, let's see what's going this time for ARIAL Academy. We still see Pixel, spiked around Pixel, frozen down below the C4. There's only maybe 2 or 3. Looks like 3 are on the top floor this time, and 2 are on site for ARIAL Academy. So not much stock on the top floor. Freaks me walking top of red stairs. Last time it was, that drop from Carlo getting killed and Smitty pushing that heaven balcony, which was the big play for them. But this time maybe they're actually not trying to push that roam, as frozen the time. He maybe looks away as Freak entries into mining. There's already a bit of an entry on that that second floor for if they want to make a push into fireplace, which could be a play. Again, there's not as much stock into that anchoring for ARIAL Academy.
They do have some nice angles. Venatorial can still contest fireplace based on using the prone holes made in between sites. There's also on back white stairs who can contest anybody pushing in through fireplace as well. But if they're able to clear out this roam, could be a lot easier. But Hypers has so far made himself immovable. Quickly dispatched by Callout though. So it took Smitty it took a death from Callout last time for Smitty to get a kill. Here it took Smitty's death for Callout to get a kill on the player roaming upstairs. But there is still Spiker, who stayed up here for a very lengthy amount of time previously on reading and didn't really amount to much success. In fact, it was his death that spiraled it into a 2v4. Venatorial there to provide some support. It's a little bit of a different story. He can peek up White, catch Mo off guard, even things up 3-3. Dami as well, down below this go around. Gets a kill, but Spiker is still marked for death as he was in the previous reading defense. It's the exact same here. 2v2 now. Wichita Wolves, 55 seconds left, taking a bit of a break before they move downstairs.
It should be enough time to actually tear the floorboards up, and this time they have this off breacher in Callout. So Dami and Vena, though, Vena has at least 3 more smokes to try and deny a plant, but this is going to drive those defenders out of the site. There's only 2 people on the side of Wichita Wolves, so going for the plant is going to be difficult, especially if you want to go for the plant and have that coverage. It's either Callout goes downstairs to go cover him, or he doesn't play for the top floor control, which could allow for ARIAL Academy to retake that top floor. or it's going to be, you know, Call it on top floor, trying to use the vertical pressure from above to, you know, drive these players out and get those kills. But Call's actually push farther in for that coverage. Sees one, intel on the second as he walks upstairs. So now this is the control that Dami needs, maybe try and deny it, but they can just go to fireplace.
Yep. They can rotate in a fireplace, and Dami can't really use these holes all too well because Call Out and Reed, well, Dami, they ain't in there. They're in the other site. They're getting the bomb down, and now you're in a post plan you have to find your way out of. They're all sitting down below, and now Dami will join them too. They can still sit in these positions. Call Out holding Red Hall right now. Instead, rotate up White, play for some vertical as well. Reed can even play below the stairs. Look at these Selma holes he's made to both give Call Out upstairs an angle to watch the diffuser and Reed down below an angle as well. Dami's now progressed his way inside of the site. Can anybody find an angle on his position? Yes, they can, but Dami falls off right at maybe the right time. But he's too scatterbrained and does not know where any of the attackers are coming from. 4-2, Wichita Wolves. They somehow turned that last round into a win for them.
Yeah, that was a scary prospect. The fact that there was, you know, a 2v2 at the end there, but still, the beginning of it was bloody though. Teams after team getting kills. It was at first good for Wichita Wolves, getting 2 picks here and there, but then it was still ARIAL Academy being positioned like Spiker in the corner, Venom playing the white stairs, getting kills back in return to even it up. It was still back and forth though on that roam clear. We're going to a 2v2, and it could have been bad for the attack because the attack needs the plant. You only have so much cover in one other person. But unfortunately, you know, fortunately for them, for Wichita Wolves, Kala pushes in, gets that good pick. He finds a player from Invena who was unaware of how fast he was pushing through reading. He gets that pick, puts into 2v1 for Dami to try and clutch up, which is difficult, especially when it's 2v1. And you go upstairs trying to use the 4 holes, but at that point it attacks like Wichita Wolves like, hey, just go into reading. Or not reading. We go into fireplace. There's no vertical holes to be dealt with. We just go plant there.
Yep. Timeout called by Wichita Wolves at the site. So a bit of a late one, but still have a minute to talk through things with their team, maybe to interrupt any potential momentum for ARIAL. Though, again, after a 4-2 half on Cafe defense, I don't know how much momentum they really have, to be honest with you. But also take the time out anyway, talk things over going into their defensive half. Don't think that's a bad thing by any means. One thing I'm worried about here, though, Benny, it's 4-2 half and Wichita Wolves. Obviously, we mentioned it going in, that Smitty would not really disrupt things too heavily. It's obviously a disruption of some sort, but not nearly as bad of one as we might think on face value. But now they got to go to a defense. And they basically get all these tools at their disposal that, especially with a sub on board, they can say, hey, let's play a little bit more loose. We don't necessarily need to try to play to our strats as heavily. Let's give Freak the Valkyrie, who I imagine can play it extremely well, based on how mechanically skilled he is. Let's also, if you want to, Smitty, you get aggressive too. Call out if you're feeling like you can get aggressive. Go upstairs, roam off the site, whatever you want. There's a lot of tools for Wichita Wolves that if they want to get aggressive in turn to try to fight ARIAL or Rise Academy, they could. And notice to ARIAL, but just pound for pound, some of these players in Wichita Wolves could probably just outshoot ARIAL 9 days out of 10. And that's what I'm worried about, especially with Freak and the Valkyrie.
Yeah, Freak and Mohest, though, we've seen them in the past. Just they can tear up. Call out Reed, not too bad. Smitty's been doing decent so far, but we'll see what they look like to have the, you know, the Aruni, the castle, try and hold off that. Assuming it's gonna be a cigar hold as we're on the top floor with the lineup we see, and it'll be interesting to see how aggressive Freak does get on the Valkyrie. Is he gonna try and peek in the windows? Is he gonna put some cams outside, or is it maybe just to aid them when they push through piano? Hard to say. We'll see what happens here from Dome, but looks like Freak is setting up, looks like below sections inside of New Balk. Maybe out positions outside by Red. Hard to say right now. Actually, he's going to throw one outside onto the roof. Could be good C4 later on. But yeah, let's look at that cigar hold. We're probably going to see Mohest play inside a cigar, inside the closet. And he's going to see how long he can sit there and deny Arrow kind of pushing into piano, pushing into Red. And it looks like, yeah, the cam going out there. Actually, a bit, was that on purpose?
I imagine it was, but it's pretty easy for Spiker to shoot.
I'm about to say, I feel like that was a bit too far.
The nice thing is, though, Freak does now know that they are pushing this position, so if he can really tune his ears right here for the repel, send a C4 through that hole, this could be huge. Even put it on that hole. See Spiker sitting there, it flies on out, but it's shot midair, shoots the cam and the C4. Now Freak has to go back a dead man, or not a dead man, a failed man. Not dead.
Empty-handed.
Empty-handed. Better word for it.
Well, hey, unfortunately, that aggression doesn't go well for Wichita Wolves, for, Freak specifically. And now we'll see them try to, we'll see ARIAL Academy if they can deal with this extension into Cigar. Vena finding one more of those cams, so 2 out of the 3 have already been shot out. Not working out in the favor of Wichita Wolves whatsoever. So at this point, I'm pretty sure Frozen's like, I can't drop into Red. I'm going to get shotgunned by Mohest dropping into it. So now we're going to see him go to stage window, destroy this barricade, destroy destroy that laser gate and deal with Mohes and Cigar. Maybe even get the cutoff if they're holding that red hallway.
Flash is finally going in to deal with Mohes' position. Nade in as well. They also have Dami with these Rotera drones, so if they wanted to send a drone in, maybe blow up that hatch, they very well could. That hatch being stopped also provides an easy escape route. Both him, Mohes and Freak now, the duo, getting aggressive in their respective positions. Freak especially so, contesting these windows, trying to find a pick either on the south or western side of the room, but instead it's Frozen to find the first. Dropping down red, he had done so earlier, but this time Mohes gives Frozen the engagement he so desires, and the opening pick goes Ariel's favor. Still a minute and 10 seconds left in the round, though, and not much progress has been made beyond clearing out that humidor. Freak's still in this position, but as he's found inside the middle of the room by Hypers, now with the 5v3, it's looking much better for Arial, even with the minute remaining.
Is that 2 picks of their own? They've cleared picks, so if they now can take control, they can find some more picks and make it their way. But it looks like the Rotera drone will drive Smitty out of position, push him back in the cocktail. Wow, great shot from Reed to peek up. They got to make plays now, and Reed's going to be the one to make that play. Sees another kill for him, too. Vene goes down to Reed, and Reed, the body shot machine's been getting headshots instead. Shotgun out, though. Maybe not quite the length for it. Frozen Hypers will fight back, and now let's call it in a 1v3.
Doesn't know one of the players positioned at the cigar door. A second one, but oh no, right as he hits the air jab, he'd already missed some shots, but that's not going to do well for his accuracy stat going into the rest of the round. He'll manage to escape unscathed despite the amount of players all veering over towards his position, but still find one kill if he can transfer fast enough. But Spiker's a little bit too quick on the draw for call out. Ariel Arise, they take their first round of the attack, but still one more round until we're even.
Yeah, that was just kind of difficult. You had Freak and Mohes playing for the extension, playing for that aggression, and both of them picked off in that engagements. Just really, time was wasted, but the kills kind of nullify that. They really give him that edge when going into the execute. And from there, it was someone on the side of which will try and make aggressive, trying to get those kills back. It was Reed. He gets 2 in his name, actually, which is great. But unfortunately, neither in Smitty or Callout could try getting more kills on their end, either to even it up or even make it possible when it came down to execute. Because in the end, it became Callout in a 1v3. There's only so much you can do against 3 other players on Aero Academy who looking to just take your head off.
Job by Frozen there, too. It can sometimes be very difficult to just drop red with the Humidor player, likely with the shotgun still alive. Somehow it doesn't die and even kills him later. Don't really know how that happened. Usually when they drop and the mute's still there, player dropping usually dies, but good on them. Yeah, supposed to. Don't really know what happened there, unfortunately. But either way, it's still Wichita Wolves in the lead. They'll go down to reading, not trying to go cocktail. See some adjustments made in the operator lineup, where for Aerial Arise Academy, it was a reading extension, you know, the ones we've seen before, but it was pretty much just a deployable shield and a reinforcement on the top floor with Dami playing behind it, and that was about it. It was as bare bones of an extension as you could want. Here, Wichita Wolves going for a lot more utility dedicated at the top. They have some Mozzie pass if they want to, Goyo shields, plenty more reinforcements on this top floor as well. Still likely about the same amount, but it is mainly that operator utility that will be more focused on that top floor. If Freak wants to get aggressive, he has avenues to rotate back to if he wants to spend, say, the first minute sitting inside a cigar.
Well, let's see if this is quite the roam clear we saw from Wichita Wolves in their attack out of Air Academy. Looks like Vendor just sees there's a bullet hole made into boots. Nobody's playing it. Nobody's playing aggressive Wichita Wolves. And we'll see whether or not Aero Academy are going to roam clear or not. But these Mozzie pets can make it difficult. He's going to make it difficult to drone out these players, to just make it annoying to lose drones. And actually, Callout was below and by boots. He was by a VIP, actually. Looking to maybe take a pick, but they're droning out trains for the moment. So maybe they're not going to clear, but we'll see. Mozzie Pest outside of the Humidor. He's not going to push it so far. Hyper's droning out in 90, seeing who can find anybody. See how many members are actually, you know, on the roam and actually downstairs.
Well, there's nobody inside of mining, but there is one inside a train. Call it sitting in that exact position, and it's gone unread by Hypers. In fact, even then, he fires some shots, lets some loose. It's still Hypers playing the guessing game. Where could Jaeger possibly be? And he guesses wrong. Callout can get a second as well, but no, it's Mo to finish that one off. Instead, distracts long enough for Frozen to take him down, but Smitty to get a kill in the meantime, trading out his teammate for the Hibana. And this trade deal has certainly been much more favorable for Wichita Wolves than it has been in any factor for Arial Academy.
That was just a messy ring around the rosy.
That was a yikes.
Dude, it is walking around the train on each other. He thought it was a Gemini.
Call out. That's perfectly acceptable because they didn't drone it. Hyper just jumped in with no intel.
Bro, we took that so fast. Well, Spiker's upstairs, trying to make something out of this roam clear. I don't think he knows that Reed's right here. Can Reed take advantage? No, the flashbang's out. He knows he's there, but he blows up the Vulcan shield. He runs away alive in that engagement. Still kills Freak, though. C4 from below from Smitty to finish him off. It's now Vena in a 1v3. And really, this came down to the fact that just that girly engagements didn't go the way of ARIAL Academy. Carlos can peek out. He's going to finish him off, get 2 for the round. And Wichita Wolves will take their first defense. And that was just...
Well, the botched clear of Train. Definitely the death knell for ARIAL in that round. Kind of ironic. Death knell was the first thing that happened, but...
It's ironic it was the Yana who walked in first.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. That is actually one critique I remember hearing about Hypers last week was does not use his Yana clone very often. Maybe you should have there. Maybe you send the Yana clone in. You have Dami on the Ashe. You can play behind that clone if you want to. Try to get the entry. Either way, definitely a lack of active intel on callout's position. And even after the whiffed engagements, you're forced to sort of play that. Okay, where are you? Where are you? And it just didn't pan out.
I think last time too, we even saw when we cast them, I think it was either last week, the week before that, or maybe in qualifiers, where Hypers would just push forward sometimes too quickly and not have a drone behind them, or walk into situations where it wasn't droned yet. And that seems to be some of the same situation where he's just walking with no intel yet, or maybe he's being too quick, not behind the drones. That's kind of seems to be a punishment.
Either way, as confirmed by ARIAL in chat, there was definitely even if there was intel, it was not active one on callout's position. So when you send Hypers in, you're working off of maybe some late intel. Callout can make plays like that, get away with it, and when they try to compensate for it, Callout, no pun intended, makes the call, says, hey, come on over. We have plenty of people pushing over here. I could use some help. Trades go their way, so it's the importance of up-to-date intel. Because things like that can happen, and one small mistake can spiral into a myriad of others.
That seems to be the issue a lot of times with these teams sometimes, with just things, one little mistake goes a mile. And so far, Dami's running straight to a small bike to grab a drone, but this is a bottom floor kitchen defense for Wichita Wolves. And so far, the only thing real roam right now is actually just 2 people. Callout was up there, Freak's now above, looking at roam, and just, but there's no real, like, it doesn't seem like there's any utility, any reinforcements, so this is probably going to be a roam just to waste time and just back off at a moment's notice because they don't have any utility to really play off of. So they don't want to try and take fights in those 50-50 gunfights that aren't in their advantage.
Oh, I see Hyper's using this Yana clone, so maybe my criticism was levied a little bit too quick. It's round number 3 on the attack. Plenty of time for improvements. Goes down, doesn't unfortunately... Oh, we're in this exact same situation, but it goes much better for the attack this time. Short-lived, still a 4v4 in the end, but Dami's able to catch Freak right as he peeks his head up over White Stairs. Callout is there to play for the trade, and again, sometimes the problem with a little bit lackluster intel. Not entirely their fault, though. They tried to clear it out. Dami was there watching the very angle they were coming up. It just so happens, second player peeked and won his fight. So not as egregious as last time.
Yeah, not too crazy. Just 1 for 1. Just trade it out. Nothing too crazy. Well, with that first pick, though, they get one of C4s at least. But Dami goes down, and now, well, see, the members of ARIAL Academy go to work, open that floor up, take control of that second floor, and figure out what the game plan is going to be. Of course, Nomad's on. The Nomad of Spiker is going to make sure nobody can go for a rotate, nobody can try and get a Frank later on. As Reed's looking to get a C4 on the member of the Sledge of Vena, see if we can stop that floor from being opened up. But either way, we're going to have to see what ARIAL Academy wants to do, if they're going to go for that bakery push later on, or if they're going to go for freezer. There's still quite a bit of time to even do either at the moment, so they can take a bit of a second, see if they can find a kill. C4 comes up, doesn't kill, buddy. Vena's still alive, so he's going to keep tearing that floorboard and see if he can find any picks. So just dislodge these defenders.
Oh. One player down below, but sitting behind the B bomb chassis. Vena did not able to see him, unfortunately, as the angle is not very favorable, and that is a little problematic. It's a very strong position Reed is currently holding. If ARIAL go for a freezer drop, it's very simple for Reed. Even if he only gets 1 to swing out, just get 1 kill for that shotgun, and that could be it, especially if Smitty's not dealt with inside of VIP. You have 2 prongs to the defense right now, and both could be equally as lethal if neither are dealt with. It's still Callout the first to die in the final 45 seconds, not in either of those positions, so even with a man disadvantage, Smitty or Reed could go absolutely massive here. Smitty gets the first kill, maybe starts the tumble downward. The second already down, he finishes him off. Now Spiker forcing to compensate for the mistakes earlier, finds him in the corner, and he's not long for this world, but still on 1 HP. Smitty has done plenty of damage in this round so far, but an excellent game sense by Vena, anticipating Reed's position. Now Mo is the only one left. Spiker on low HP, it's all left up to Venatorial for the coverage. He's got to be precise here. He wants to stop Wichita from getting on match point. Mo creeping over. Ooh, spots his back for just a second. Can he land the shots? No! He actually didn't see him! thought he was deeper than he actually was. There was a split second there where it could have worked. But Ven is able to capitalize off of the Smoke's mistakes and deny match point for just a little longer.
Oh, that was so close. He could have denied the plant right there. Was no time left. Oh, but you get the early round. Again, it was just a return. One goes, Dominic kills one. He gets refragged. He kills Freak. He gets refragged by call out. At that point, it was just a 1-for-1. You go into the execute at that point, 4v4. There's enough time for, Wichita wasn't really waste a whole lot of time in there on the defense, on the roam. A lot of air cabin just go to work, open the floor up, kind of dislodge those players. And that point, it was just coming down, transitioning to that first floor. And you saw Smitty get aggressive, getting 2 picks. Well, technically just 1. It was another person down. But they got aggressive, denied that white stairs rotate, denied the initial drop in the freezer from ARIAL Academy. Great job. Spiker elsewhere gets picked, though. They're trying to defuse some of the other parts of the map or parts of that horizontal roam. And from there, it was just kind of trading back, getting back some of those kills, putting it in a 2v2 at one point. But they able to get those kills, and they put into a 1v2, and they have to get the bomb down. There was 10 seconds left. If Venom could have gotten 1 pick there, denied the plant, that could have been the round right there for Wichita Wolves. But unfortunately, the coverage was there for them. They didn't really see. Also, I guess they didn't really see. The planter, unfortunately.
Hey, small oversight. Still a little bit of a cushion to work off of. Going back to Cocktail, the site did not work out for Wichita Wolves last time. ARIAL Arise managed to win it, but here we see what exactly we want to see. A lot of adjustments made. The Valkyrie changing hands just as it did for ARIAL Arise Academy, but something a bit more resemblant if they're reading defense in some places. Smitty bringing the Goyo like we saw for reading. Reed transitioning to the Maestro. I think this solves, even if it doesn't necessarily solve direct issues, it still brings things that are very nice to have. You have more intel, more on-site intel, specifically with that Maestro. So if ARIAL try to get aggressive and move into the site, as we can expect them to do, you can have that bit of intel there. The Rooney Gates to provide a little bit more projectile denial, again, on the site. Can't defend Pixel, but you can defend other positions. And while you're not putting somebody out as aggressively as Humidor, you still have plenty of intel to act off of to take fights. That's important.
Well, let's see this time if they get caught out on that extension. This time if they do play it out, but below, and Callout's playing below once again. Well, actually, once again, no, he was playing not really on that spike, but he's playing below as Jaeger, so he can't really see for anything. So I do wonder what exactly is his effect on the round playing below and train.
Flank later on, maybe?
Could be flank later on. Yeah, go red. But this, this Spiker's been on the Nomad for the last few rounds. So not entirely sure. Maybe run out of white and kill Dami, who's on stage window. Maybe.
Oh, wait. That's what we just saw, but of course we also saw Dami say, "Hey, somebody just shot open stage or white window or white door in front of me."
So I don't think you can really go for that anymore. So at this point, you should probably just go back to site. But the first pick goes to Hypers. Freak once again dead in Pixel. Again, this extension seems to be easily dealt with by ARIAL Academy.
That is a massive pick by Hypers right there. You clear out the Pixel position with not much utility expended, but Callout's there thankfully to rotate back up and retake that position. But with the shield destroyed, as far as he can play up is Bathroom. Might be able to get aggressive later on, but no, with that air jab there, yeah, he is not getting nobody from the defense. In fact, is likely getting back into Christmas, even if they have the most willpower on the face of the earth. Mohes is down below, though, and he does have a C4, as opposed to Callout's vertical play earlier, where he didn't have the utility provided to him. Mohes could play down below and go for that C4 later on. With Pixel control, 2 big forces here are Smitty and Callout, and they stem the tide of the attack for just a little bit longer.
Looks like Dami may be aware of Mohes' position. He's downstairs and train. Look, maybe he doesn't have any real intel, but he has a inkling of a feeling. But at that point, he's already returned back to site. The Mohes on the Valkyrie has already returned back up white stairs. So now it's on to ARIAL Academy to destroy the shields, make their way into bar, make their way in the freezer. Pixel control has been at least dealt with in a sense, but you still have Callout and Bathroom. And there's Callout at the end to strike forward. Deal with Frozen, stem that tide like Flint was talking about, make it slower, and just return back to another position and try and take another fight. And so far, with these open holes, it makes it difficult for ARIAL Academy to push forward.
Right now, overall, it's looking very difficult for ARIAL to push forward. I mean, what do they really have aside from that early Pixel control? They have a lot of utility, but Smitty still has 1 C4. Reed is holding this very strong cocktail position. He can contest with the Alda. Smitacious able to get 1, but Reed is completely unaware of Spiker slowly creeping up. The Nomad catches him off guard, and now it's transitioned back to a 2v2!
Wow.
Never mind! It all goes ARIAL on a late push into sight. I believe it's a 2v4 by the end of things. We're still even it up 5-5. They win cocktail a second time despite the odds.
Seriously, that was, I get no real control besides Pixel, like Lynx was talking about. They had an early pick. They dealt with the Pixel player. It was returned, but then they started pushing through and we're questioning what's going to happen here. Callout then made that return pick for them and then pulled back to Lumber, pulled back to position to try and hold it off. But we saw from, unfortunately, we didn't see the whole thing because you can only respect it one person at a time. But we saw Spiker, great position there, just to go over those bars, go over where they wouldn't expect you, get into position in Cocktail to get 2 picks. And then the rest of his team, you saw Dami, you saw the members on the kill feed, killing the members inside of probably Freezer, inside of Lumber, and stopping those members just being there. It's crazy because the crazy thing is that they hadn't really opened any walls. They haven't done anything real destruction. It was just taking fights on the members of the defense who had, I would say, almost just say maybe advantageous, but they were expecting the attack to be there. And yet still, that's Aero Academy for you, winning those fights and putting themselves, tying it up at 5-5.
An ultimate round. Whoever wins this goes to match point. This is Wichita Wolves map pick. Just so you keep that in mind. They are the ones that are expected to win this, just based off that fact. But things could change if Ariel can pull rounds out of a hat, just like they did previously. For reading in particular, this has been the only round that's gone Wichita Wolves' way so far, and it was off of a sort of a botched entry by ARIAL Academy. Hypers jumping into mining window, and trying to clear into train, but there was some out-of-date intel on Callout's position that unfortunately turned 1 kill, an entry for Callout, or opening pick for Callout, into a flurry of other kills that resulted in a 2v4 by about minute 15 seconds in. It was still pretty early on. They're not going for the exact same style of hold, but Callout taking a familiar position down below, and Aerial Arise spawning in similar positions might be something similar if they don't go full clear, but never mind. It's their repel up. Looks like they are going for something different.
Yeah, last time they really go for a clear. They didn't try to roam clear whatsoever. They just, as Link was talking about, just pushed into train, and it was a totally botched entry. This time looks like they may try to clear that top floor of the members of Wichita Wolves as they're all going towards that red side. Nobody from Wichita Wolves is actually by Cigar, so they should no problem dropping red hatch, pushing their way through. Though of course there is a pixel player, that is its Freak on the Malusi. Dami maybe looking to jump in maybe at the moment, but again, gonna be clearing out that shield is the first part. Push back Freak and make sure they can take control, or they kill him like they did last round.
Oh, I've seen Freak in this exact position on this exact operator get a triple kill despite the odds, so we'll see if he can manifest some similar energy there, but there is certainly plenty of odds going against him right now. Attackers, utility, his Goyo shield bursting into flames right in front of his very eyes. Odds are he'll be forced to push back. Still has a hole that he could peek out of. Maybe catch Venatorial or Hypers off guard. As drone flies out, it's exactly what he does, but he decides to rotate back instead of retreat, instead of peeking into the 4 attackers that have now taken that position. Sitting on Lumber by himself, fires some more shots, though Hyper's Clone manages to evade the majority of those. Can get some intel on his position in Aerial Arise Academy, setting up their base of operations here. Don't have a lot of time to transition to the rest of this top floor.
Yeah, unfortunately, dealing with Pixel and really pushing through has cost them quite a bit. Of course, that's what Wichita was looking for. And again, they're just Wichita members are just pre-firing into white, pre-firing towards the positions to make it difficult. One member on Aero Academy going towards the window, try and cut off, or at least try and pinch these players out, push them back towards sight within the seconds. And there was Vena trying to push him back in the laundry. He does, unfortunately, no damage to him. Does push him back. Freak with the great shot of Dami. Another one on the Hypers.
Wow.
Denies that entire white push so far, but he's still pinched. There's still members on the window, and one coming from Bar. Smitty kills that one on Bar. Spiker take down. Vena with his own the 2 clears out the entire top floor for his team. But is there time to take this round back even?
There might be. It might be only 30 seconds left, but if Vena's even able to just get a couple holes up there, or even get another kill onto Callout, maybe this goes from unwinnable just 30 seconds ago to dead even with 20 seconds remaining. But that kill's not found. Frozen rotates back up brown stairs and pushing into reading. All he has is Venatorial making a solo play down white. He's caught a carbon Capkin, but flicks nonetheless. He still ends up traded out by Smitatius. Now Frozen has to go for the kills with only 7 seconds left. Smitty playing this so well, playing Ring Around the Rosie once again. He's still caught out. Callout instead, he plays the discipline. He rotates back off. Frozen's trapped in the planting animation. It's match point for Wichita.
Well, good job to Wichita Wolves. And again, taking quite more than half the round really to clear Pixel, take control Piano, and then they from there had no other control. They had to push straight into the defenders, Wichita Wolves, who were just waiting. You saw there, you saw the member just dealing with 2 of them immediately, getting 2 picks from Freak. Freak denied 2 of them pushing White Hall. They immediately, though, having that person Vena on the cocktail window, though, getting 2 picks of his own, making it somewhat doable. Getting that control of the top floor, but by the time they had that control, by the time they even got it close, man count wise, it was a 2v3 with 40 seconds. Oh, maybe it's 30 actually, but 30 seconds even. Like no time left. And from there, they got to scurry. They got to try and run and find control of site, try and push site. They push from white, and they push up and find defenders. Sure, there's a good pick from Venom, but he gets traded off, and they're still in that man disadvantage. It's a 1v2. He gets a great kill on a Smitty. And from there, though, it's frozen in a 1v1 with no time left. All he can do is plant the diffuser, and Call just walks out, knows where he is, and finishes him off.
What Aerial Arise can be happy about, though, is Reading is the only site Wichita Wolves have had much success on, as opposed to Cocktail and Kitchen, which Aerial Arise have won every single time. Here on Kitchen, it's only been one win, and it was still, I would say, not exactly the easiest of rounds to take. There's one where Wichita Wolves were doing okay in the early game, but overall, it's still one, obviously, they managed to come away with in the end. Here, going for a full clear is likely will be the name of the game for Aerial Arise Academy, as Wichita Wolves don't like to play as off-site as Aerial Arise did, so it's not going to be free control onto the site. There will still likely be players there. They'll have to sort of rotate up, clear out players like Freak, call out rotating around the map, and then start moving to that second floor.
Yeah, last time at least they caught out Freak, who peeked up White Stairs. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that once again, but even then, even without that pick, though, it was that entry into Freezer that we really expected. It was actually, the initial pick was actually stopped on Freezer, but they still were able to make that control elsewhere and then push back to Freezer and get that plant down. Kind of crazy. Bit of a weird round there from the side of ARIAL Academy, but they still made it work. That's probably their key characteristic so far, is make things work despite sometimes the disadvantage that they have. Well, so far, again, we have Freak and Callout roaming once again on the second and third floor. They're going to start drawing out Freak, know where he is. And let's see if they can try and pick him off once again, though. And Callout's going to be a support as per usual. Plays White Stairs, and they're trying to take control of the second, third floor. And do they know he's there? Dommy's coming in the corner. Drone should speak out what Freak is. They can pre-fire his position and win that fight. Great shots. Callout's there, but he's getting hypers as he goes down to hypers. That's a great start for ARIAL Academy to put them to overtime.
Not only good active use of intel, but also good reading into just the typical top four play. They know that Callout likes to be in that supporting role. He's usually not the one to get aggressive, but if there's players getting aggressive up top, he likes to be there for that support. They send somebody over at Cocktail to stop the play from getting aggressive in that position, but just as I say that, everyone for Wichita Wolves tries to march
Conga
up
line.
White Stairs.
Was someone on the bottom of White Stairs like hit by a grenade?
I think so. See, I was about to transition and be like, hey, but here we have Wichita Wolves trying to re-aggress and retake that top floor, but I didn't realize it was everybody.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what is happening here? What the? Yeah,
that's a hell of a way to go to overtime.
Yeah, that's the way to go to overtime, I guess. But that round would just start out with a great roam clear, like Link was talking about, from ARIAL Academy.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that roam clear was great. They read into Freak, read into Callout's plays.
That sounded sarcastic. I actually meant that was a good roam clear. I don't know why. I got worried that sounded like mean. No, it actually was good. It actually was good. I was not supposed to be sarcastic.
But then at that point, it was a 3v5. And yes, when you're down people, you're down man advantage, you have to make a play. You have to make a play to get, even it up, make it possible to win the round. Though I will say, having 3 people walk up white in a conga line, yeah, I'm not sure if that's the play.
That was an odd one.
Not only was like they're walking with 3 men, there was also 3 people at the top of White Stairs waiting for them.
Yeah, that was yeah, that didn't work. And unfortunately, oddly, you think the opposite. Unfortunately for Wichita Wolves, they're the ones starting out on the defense. If you're just tuning in, it's been 4-2 attacking halves for both teams, and ARIAL Arise get to start out on their preferred side, but that also means on the converse of that, Wichita Wolves can start out on their preferred site of reading. Your last time, both times actually, it's been the off-site play that has been the shining star for Wichita Wolves. One time on the second floor inside a train, the other time Freak on the top floor, and a very, very slow and failed clear of the top floor by ARIAL Arise Academy. If they're even going to come as remotely as slow as they did last time and just fail to put pressure on anybody on Cocktail side, it'll likely be 7-6 for Wichita if they can't fix that fatal flaw.
Wait, was there Nocturne's game? Was ARIAL Academy's Nocturne's game also attacker-sided?
I actually can't remember that off the top of my head.
That's my question too, because they picked attack on the overtime, so they were expecting it to be. It seems like they're expecting to be an attacker-sided cafe.
I feel like it's also not uncommon though for more so puggy style teams to prefer attack. I mean, look at FPL Queens, for example. In invite calls, attack was definitely their better side.
That's true, I guess, but I just can't help but recall that in control game.
Yeah. It was awful.
It was awful. So that's why I wondered if it was maybe because the last Nocturne's game was attacker sided, so that's what they went off of, which then would make sense to me. But either way, we're starting off again on this reading floor roam here, and so far again it's gonna be pushing out these roamers. And last time so far, Wichita Wolves have been able to play this well when it comes to time, when it comes to man picks or man advantage. So this start again, we'll see if they can actually deal with these roamers on top floor, pre-firing into cocktail. Nobody's died yet, at least. And this time they've done a quicker time of actually clearing Pixel and taking that control. But now they can make these picks happen and push into cocktail. And so far, we'll see if they can do it or not.
Yeah. Problem, just in terms of upstairs clear, both for kitchen and reading. Well, wow. a bit of a wacky engagement between Spitatious and Dami. Here's some cartoon sound effects you could place in there, and probably fit pretty well. Big problem here was letting Freak just have his way with anybody that tries to push him on the top floor. Here's a similar situation because there are mute devices placed inside a bathroom, so if they're trying to get intel, it's going to be difficult, but Dami catches him off guard. It's preceded by a kill by Reed, the first pick of the round, but Spitatious still alone alive up top. This is going to be a difficult rotate back. He is stuck on cocktail balcony, with the player on new balcony. Now that they've gone on a drone, he might be able to vault off with just a couple seconds to spare. Instead, decides to press the issue down, so puts Dami on the floor. But Frozen can take his divided attention, capitalize off of it, pick up Dami if they wanted, and solidify a 4v3 man advantage. But with two of their players on reduced HP, both Hypers and Dami would be on about 25 to 30 HP. That could be problematic if they try to have some solid coverage for a plant moving downstairs. No C4s for Wichita Wolves right now, but with Mohes playing close and no holes made above that can directly contest his position, he could be the one to deny that plant. There's one player slowly crouching down white, that's Hypers, but Reed is anticipating that position as Frozen has moved on in. Two players holding outside the door. It's call out to get the first kill. He's retaken Pillar. Frozen's caught completely off guard. Hypers has to capitalize or mitigate all the damage done, but it doesn't matter. It's a slow clear upstairs, a half-baked clear down below. Wichita Wolves, they take match point.
I guess the big thing for that roam clear, it was still chaotic, very chaotic. But at least the person they're able to kill on that roam clear or the roam for Wichita Wolves was Vena on the sledge, denying that vertical control from the attack. And then again, here again, time is the issue. Which Aero Academy again taking too long to really take that control. By time they were able to at least gain that control and start using that vertical pressure, there was maybe like 45 seconds left. From there, they have to rush into a rotate, rush into an execute, and that was the point, the time when Call was able to get that flank off, deny the plan, even though it was a man disadvantage for Wichita Wolves. Just the fact that there was no time left and they didn't have quite the control they need to vertically, and just just it didn't seem like they were quite clear-headed to know where people, because Call could walk through Pillar. Nobody was watching from above to cut that rotate off. He gets the pick on the person, clearing or covering for the planter, and from there, the rest of Wichita Wolves can aggress, gain that control of the diffuser, and then just back off as time runs out.
Aerial Rise Academy get to go to their preferred side of Cocktail so far in this series. Has been very good for them. Every time they've played it, they've won it. Same was said about Wichita Wolves and Reading. They end up winning that out, so this could be all 15 maps to decide who wins map number 1. If Ariel just are allowed to stick to their game plan that has worked so far in this series, and it's not really interrupted all that well. Cigar control can sometimes be a little bit tricky. Spiker has liked to stay in this position, peek out a bathroom. The first round, he was just able to catch 3 players off guard. Second round, still got a kill before he rotated off. So definitely bringing the hammer down on that position should be the first and foremost of Wichita Wolves' priorities.
Can they do it? Have they figured out how to do it this time around to give them the win on their map pick where we're going to all 15 rounds here? Yeah, Spiker on the alibi in this position has been ridiculous. And so far, it looks like they're doing the same thing out, just open the hatches up. Nobody from Aero Academy is playing too aggressive towards Cigar. It's just Spiker. He's playing Pixel for the moment, playing in the bathroom, waiting for a push waiting for Wichita Wolves to make their move. Dami's below, though. He's not looks like maybe looking to see if anybody pushes on that second floor, maybe up red or up white for a play, because so far, yeah, Wichita Wolves still going for that piano play, and every time it has not worked out in their favor. So they need to maybe change things up, but it looks like they aren't. And Dami with the first pick once again onto call out, though. It's because he ran out and dealt with Dami, or dealt with call out on the rappel.
Dami playing a similar position to call out on that second and first floor, roaming, trying to see if they can get a jump out like that. This time, the first time in this match, That jump out works. Callout contemplated going for one previously, but it was not able to make it happen. This time, takes down the sledge. So primary utility, not the most important factor, but what is important, only one nade left on the board for Wichita Wolves, and that could make clearing Spiker out of bathroom very difficult. The shield's already gone, but Spiker makes it easy for them. He rotates off, doesn't want to make it too difficult. There's still a cam inside of Christmas, so they can take these angles, play outside of Whitehall, see if they push in, and use that intel to their advantage.
That's perfect right there. C4 gone out. Looks like it won't kill anybody, but let's make a rotate hole for the Yana of Smitty to push it if he wants to. He's going to walk in, sees the smoke just in his way for the moment, but at this point with a minute left, they have control of Piano, but they need to make something else of it. And he walks in hyper, just ready for that fight. He takes down one. Second one comes through. It's Freak to get his own, but Vena will be there to cover here for him. Hypers sees one drop down the skylight. He's going to kill that person too. And that's down not just the Mohes, who gets taken down by Frozen on the cocktail window. And it's still, we're going to take all 15 rounds to decide this.
Now here's the question for Wichita Wolves. Where do you go? You've lost Kitchen twice. You've lost Cocktail twice. However, nice thing though, Benny.
What's
One of those cocktail defenses was basically just Venatorial and Dami bobbing and weaving like water. Or like, I guess, a buoy on water. Slowly just moving into the site and the clutch now to 2v4. So, going off of that logic, Bar and Cocktail still definitely was the better ones as opposed to Kitchen. So that's the one they will go to. Last time they defended it was not terrible, all things considered. It really only collapsed in the late round when Venatorial somehow managed to slip his way through the entire site. Or actually, no, it was Spiker. Excuse me, that worked his way through the entire site.
Else was getting kills though too. It's just like just the fact that they're able to somehow just walk in and take those fights against the defense who have shields, they have advantageous positions, and still winning those fights. It's just crazy. Like, what? How did that happen?
Well, here as well, we can see that Wichita Wolves, they instead decided in that 2v4 round, they put Reed on the Maestro. They decided to play a more traditional way, stick the player in Pixel, have Freak say maybe rotate back to bathroom, have Reed on the Maestro play on Cocktail Balcony, and not try to get too crazy with things. This go around, they're going back to the strategy they did on their first Cocktail defense. They'll put either Mohes or Callout, I'm not sure. One of them probably Callout inside of the Humidor, contest the red stairs drop, put a castle barricade in the Rooney gate on the double door, and try to hold that position for as long as they can. Actually here, ARIAL did not clear out that position based on utility. Frozen just managed to get lucky and win a fight. So it still is not all...
he somehow dropped red and just takes the bearing 9 out and kills him. It's like, how did you do this? Well, with that, we'll see if they can do it once again here. And really, it's still crazy that they're allowed to do that. They didn't open up the castle barricade. They didn't destroy the Runegate. They just dropped red and they're still able to deal with them. And he wasn't even playing. He actually aggressed too in that position. He tried to swing with the SMG-11. So maybe this time he just needs to wait for them to push that red door rather than swing Frozen, who had made the successful drop into red. We'll see, though, as he's just going to sit here and wait once again, shoot the drones so he can get through it. And last time, too, was a Freak was playing inside of Piano, and he was picked off from the windows. And, well, I say that he's dead.
Oh, no.
I don't know how did he get that. Oh, drone hole. Wow. What?
Wow. Well,
how did
that is even better than last time, because at least Frozen had to drop last time. Let's go around. Hypers just, I guess, spots him for the drone hole, as you said, and they're still going to open these castle barricades, still obviously try to clear out Pixel as well. Their take has not been completely expedited because of that kill, but it has been made a lot easier because they can dedicate the utility to Pixel as opposed to, say, clearing out this position like they have to last time. Smitty will take his place, open up the hatch to try and clear or rotate later on with a minute and a half remaining. ARIAL Arise, they still have a lot to do, but can still be happy with what they've done so far.
Well, it looks like Freak once again trying to get aggressive. Now is a man disadvantage. He's going to try and get aggressive and take a fight with some of the windows. Smitty getting shot in the back. They know he's dropped down from Cigar. Do a bit of damage to Smitty, but he's going to be able to turn back to site. And we'll want the man advantage now. They just got to clear up Pixel. Time is running out. They still haven't cleared out Freak from that position, but they should be able to do so. And that with that man advantage, see if they can flood the site and take these fights and win them against, one person who is least low on Smitty's side. And the question is, with that man disadvantage, and actually one person not even on site, Callout's actually back in train though, so it's actually a 3v5 on site.
What's ironic too, this is a Hypers classic. The amount of times I've seen Hypers try to go for this C4, it's not a unique position, but I'm just saying Hypers in particular in this lobby, I used to always see him go for this. So if there's any team who could read it out, it is Hypers, who loves to go for that C4 late in the round when teams are trying to push from Cigar. We'll see if they do, or if Callout manages to get it off and save the round, save the map. for Wichita Wolves. It's only 30 seconds left. Ariel might have the man advantage, but still plenty of positions that could work. Callout finally sends up that C4 in a different spot, but it's the second kill for Hypers. The C4 goes wide, but Hypers' bullets have been landing on point so far. Venatorial rotating over to Cocktail Balcony, making Smitty's position all the more precarious. Low health as well. Frozen can catch him completely off guard with his pants down. Callout finally gets the first kill for Wichita Wolves in this round, and Reed saving things too inside a freezer, making this plan all the more uncertain. Now it's all left up to the Mute. One player behind the cocktail bar, active intel on the planter's position, but he doesn't know about Venatorial on the bar. He's able to get one, but it's the Sledge who catches him off guard. Arial, it takes all 15 maps, but they take Wichita Wolves map 8-7.
In the end, unfortunately, yep, it was an attacker-sided cafe, but more than anything, just seeing Ariel Academy time and time again, despite some of the, the lack of control and the lack of just, utility, still able to win those gunfights and still able to make some entries. Hyper's getting a pick through the drone hole. Or before, when they killed him and they won that fight, Frozen won the fight against, Freak or Mohas playing that position just with the Bearing 9. Some of those things are just kind of crazy, and this really just changes the round where maybe at times Wichita Wolves shouldn't have been that aggressive.
Well, either way, Ariel coming away with their opponent's map pick will certainly be impactful going forward in the series. And overall, it's looking very good for them right now. Obviously, going into their map pick 1-0 will be good, but later on, we're going to Coastline. And that is where I want to see things go, because I think that could get very interesting, because Ariel Arise, you'd think, a Pug team be super good on Coast, but it's been pretty close for them in the past. So this series is not over yet. Villa's also a map that Wichita Wolves are also not shy to play whatsoever. It's been a map that they've liked to play for, I believe, stage 2 to stage 3. It's also a map that has been banned against them for their amount of play on it. Again, this could very well go all 3 maps. But before we go to a break, Manny, we got to shout out Mike and Ike's. We got to shout them out, as we always do. Thank you to Mike and Ike's, as always, for being a sponsor of NerdStreet and SCS Season 6. If you want to get some fruity or chewy flavors to maybe try to help you, I don't know. Who do you feel like should be the Mike and Ike star player of this series, Benny?
The Mike and Ike star player?
I made that up right now, by the way. That's not a thing we have. I just made that up right now. So.
Hey, I don't know. Hypers when it came to that end of the game was pretty crazy.
That's true.
Pretty crazy on those entries when it came to the end of the game. I don't know, beginning of the game, I saw Spiker once again was that person we've always seen, though. So the 4K at the beginning, we tried to ace it.
Well, either way, if you want to fuel your game and power up, like, say Spiker or Hypers, or if you don't like either of them, pick one of the other 8 players. I'm not going to force you to make a decision on what we pick. But thank you to Mike and Ike's as always. So get the original or the Mega Mix to power up your game with Mike and Ike's. Benny, anything else to say before we go to a break about maybe what we can expect on map number 2, or you're just excited? We should just...
I'm just excited.
All right, fair enough. In that case, we'll be back in just a few minutes to see whether or not Ariel are making it into the playoffs or Wichita Wolves still have some fight left in them.
Welcome to the NerdStreet Winter Championships, featuring SCS6, a yearly open tournament series hosting the best players and teams North America has to offer, culminating in a community favorite, the Pro-Am. So let's discuss format. During the Winter Champs season, SCS6 will consist of 2 stages, where each stage begins with 2 open qualifiers. Once Stage 1 is complete, there will be an additional tournament offering 1 more qualification spot prior to Stage 2. Through participating in SCS6, players will acquire leaderboard points and cash prizing. The winning teams from Stage 1 and 2, as well as the additional tournament, will qualify for the Pro-Am. The top 2 teams from the leaderboard will also qualify. As we approach the end of the season, the final qualification spot will be determined through a last chance qualifier. The grand finals of the Winter Champs SCS6 will feature the return of the Pro-Am, where the top amateur teams have an opportunity to define their talent against the North American Pro League. But in the end, only one team will be crowned Winter Champs. Sign up today and make history.
V3, make that a 1v2.
2 seconds left. It's going to come down.
Favor making a third as he looks up. Making a finds the draw 3. Stunning here from
Welcome back, everybody. Map number 2 is on the books. ARIAL Rise Academy came away with the first one by razor-thin margins. 8-7 still on their opponent's pick. Now we're going to Villa, which might be Ariel's pick, but it's still a map that Wichita Wolves are, by and large, very comfortable going to. I am Lynx, joined by Benny. But Benny, do you think that maybe this is it? Maybe Wichita Wolves, they don't have it in them. They're just one map and they're done. Mental
I don't know. They went 7-5 against Nocturnes. Nocturnes isn't nearly as aggressive as A, just a very different play style when it comes to Nocturnes. So I wonder if it's still going to be close, or if, A going to take it, or maybe Wichita Wolves, maybe their Villa game is that much better. Maybe it's that much easier to deal with this aggression from ARIAL Academy.
Well, as you said, they did manage to take it 7-5, Wichita Wolves against Nocturnes last time. But again, that is with Smitty on the roster. We do always have to have that asterisk. Again, Smitty's not a bad player, but with Forrest, those numbers were just a little bit more dominant. Again, you can have that player slotted into your playstyle who's familiar with that system. Of course, Smitty is too, but where Forrest is able to get into buildings, get aggressive and things like that, Smitty might not be able to in the same way. But it still came out as a win last time. Can they manage to do the same thing here against ARIAL, despite the fact it's their opponent's map pick? Imagine it's not going to be anything too crazy. As you can see going on here with some of the replays, you can see that the entry game from ARIAL was always a little bit questionable, it felt like at times. Sometimes it worked really well, especially in the last round. Sometimes it just did not work at all whatsoever. And it was just, even though you can see none of them went negative on the entry, they still won a lot of those opening duels. Still was 1, barely even throughout. And 2, it was never clean.
I think it went better as time went on that game, at least. I think early it was questionable at times. But then, yeah, I think just as, their attacking rounds went through and they started to get, started not to just walk in with no intel, it started to be better for them. And I will say at times that, times of just getting those kills picked off of Wichita Wolves, and they weren't really expecting that drone hole kill, especially. Like, I feel bad for Mohes being there. He just kind of sitting there next thing, shot in the foot, he's dead.
Freak, 0% cost, huh?
That's,
Yeah, that's I think.
Okay.
No, yeah, I was about to say it. I was just checking. Yeah, it's getting updated right now. Just that section in particular. We'll see it momentarily. But yeah, there we go. 47. Or not 47. 60. There we go. I was about to say. I was like, dang. I was like, Freak, wasn't having maybe the best game ever, but I thought it was a little better than that.
Yeah, I would say just like in terms of entries, yeah, it just seemed like Wichita was unfortunately kind of lacking that firepower that Forrest brought in the past.
But also. Even then, of course, they're lacking the firepower, but the sheer ability they had on the attacking half to get down those plants, it's clear that at least for their attacks, they're still able to play and get a lot of their game plan in place. And once they get that bomb in a position to go down, they're usually able to win those rounds. On a map like Villa, yeah, they're going to miss Forrest on the entry game, but it's still a map where they can certainly make that work. Even just getting in a position to get that down, if ARIAL are, say, bit shoddy in the early round, like we've seen before, or in the case of, say, sites like Kitchen, willing to give that ground to Wichita Wolves like we saw them do on Cafe. Could still certainly happen.
Very much so. I definitely agree that could happen once again. And just like you said, if ARIAL Academy, if they don't fix some issues when it comes to that roam game on defense, just being off the map, not understanding that the attackers could just walk in, or not even noticing they are walking in the building and being in the site, that's kind of an issue we've seen with them. But at the same point, it just comes to those attacks from them. We need that entry game is still. I need to see more of it. I need to see Freak or Mohes really get up on there and try and deal with that aggression. Stop ARIAL Academy from just putting you down in the first 30 seconds.
But that's the nice thing is ARIAL didn't really successfully put them down in the first 30 seconds. Many times there was always a trade, always, even if there wasn't a trade, always a little fight in Wichita Wolves, not letting ARIAL get that map control. We'll get to map number 2 to see if they can fix some of those issues, iron out some of those kinks, or maybe it'll just be a steamroll, though I highly doubt that'll happen. Wichita Wolves starting out with the bans, I imagine. Didn't ban it last time.
Zofia.
I was about to say, they didn't ban Thatcher last time. They banned Zofia. I imagine we might see something similar. Maybe.
Maybe a Flores. Maybe it'll be a hard breacher. Maybe it'll be a soft breacher. I don't know per se.
Find out.
No,
It'll be Thatcher. I mean, it's still a very fair ban. Plus, especially on like Villa, there's still so many good alternatives to Zofia. It almost feels just kind of like a ban that doesn't really go anywhere in the end. I'm interested to see if ARIAL will follow up with a hard breach, or wow, no, they will instead take down the Flores. So while you don't have those Rotero drones and those shields can live a little bit longer, Benny, all hard breachers are up in this game, even without Thatcher.
I can see some walls open. Come on, guys, open those walls. Let's see it happen.
Please.
Valkyrie banned next though, and Mirror probably should be next as well because Mirror on this map is the usual, we expected, or maybe Wichita Wolves will do something different and ban a different operator. They banned Y last time, but that was kind of because it's Cafe and Pixel's pretty strong. But my on Villa's still strong as well in a sense. Yeah. So I'm interested to see what they ban, but no, it's Mirror.
I mean, yeah, Valk and Mirror bans both make sense. Valkyrie, especially the prevalence of soft floors, you can use those intel. Plus, we also saw how much ARIAL Arise like to use the Valk, but both teams did it. Just better not to have anybody use it than have, say, your opponents use it once they switch to the defense. Same for Mirror as well. It's Wichita Wolves are they like to run the Mirror, but it's never an operator. They're like, man, we really need those black mirrors in our setup. It's not a prerequisite for certain strategies.
We've done enough stratting to know we don't need it.
Yeah, exactly. We can think of a world in which Mirror has banned. We've been living in it for about a year and a half. It's not gonna mess us up too much. Here, Aviator Games, first sight starting out, and this is what I want to see, Benny. See Mohes moving to the Vigil. Now, of course, could be a little bit risky. Say if he goes over to Trophy Statuary, gets caught off guard, could be the opening pick going the way of ARIAL without much recourse. But if he's still able to waste 45 seconds, a minute at a time even, that could be enough to stall out ARIAL, who seemed also to have a bit of a shoddy entry game, to have a bit of slow attacks throughout the entire round. That could be enough if he's able to just make that Vigil work for even just 45 seconds.
Yeah, we saw time and time again last time when they were down to 10, 20 seconds trying to get that plant down. So once again, that could be it. This could be a big thing. Just waste that time on that, that defense, on that roam outside, that extension, which maybe they've identified that, seen that in their Cafe game, and they're going to look to do that here perfectly. But we'll see. Again, ARIAL Academy have been at times explosive on that entry, at times not so much. So it's been a hit or miss for them when it comes to being that entry game for them. We'll see if Wichita Wolves can do something about that, if they can stop them. But so far, it looks to be Mohes is by himself on the far side. Call up maybe going to help him out, or he's going towards the basement. Actually, I lied.
Dami now on Zofia. Full potential unleashed with the LMG in hand. He's not a Zo Crutch, I will say that, but does certainly love his 155 round gun, 150 round gun. Mohes currently sitting inside a bedroom.
What?
That was probably not the play. When I said waste about 45 seconds, I was thinking kind of the more, sit inside a trophy statuary, then rotate back later. Maybe it allowed Freak to get that kill. Maybe ARIAL got a little bit reckless. There's still Smitty to play close to, so he wants to go for this play inside a bedroom, might find somebody, doesn't see a drone to his right. Instead, he'll pull back right now. I imagine we'll see him and Freak rotate out pretty soon because...
Did they miss drone him?
Did they?
But they have Spiker on. They're gonna see his footsteps though. Either way, never mind. Freak is still there. So Smitty's still here. He's gonna take fire though. Frozen gets both picks on Frozen gets both picks on Freak and Smitty. Looking to get a third person. He does get a third person. Reed will take out Hypers, but Reed's also the only person alive, and he's dead.
Well, that round went a little bit differently than I anticipated.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna waste time, not just take gunfight after gunfight.
Yeah. So, I get the idea behind Mo's run out. He knows they're pushing bedroom. Thinks, okay, if I impact the window, I can take him off guard. But fortunately for him, little does he know, Hypers has already vaulted into closet. And he actually catches Mohes off guard. Funny enough, if Mohes wasn't jumping out of that window, maybe aiming at closet, they might catch him off guard. Maybe Mohes had his ERC activated, and that's what he was banking on. But because he turned his back and specifically impacted and was halfway vaulting out the window. Hyper is able to catch him off guard. I then thought, okay, Mo is completely fallen. Smitty and Freak are alone in trophy stature. They'll probably spend about a minute, even with the reinforcements they've dedicated, spend about a minute, maybe 15 seconds, and then rotate out. But no, they really held on to that for a very long time. But then Aerial Rise just pushed in because they have master bedroom control, they have bathroom control, nobody's contesting Astro from the defense. They can just collapse and encircle the entire extension, and even when people try to support from Aviator Games, the man count was simply too much. They were able to get an early kill onto Freak and then just tumble from there. So even when some trades came through, it was still Aerial coming away ahead.
Yeah, that was a much more aggressive play. Not only losing Mohes early, but then just having the rest of the members try to help them on an extension was an interesting call from Wichita Wolves. Of course, it didn't work out, but it's interesting to see them play much more aggressive compared to what we saw from Cafe and what they usually do. But hey, we're on trophy statuary for our next defense. We're not going to be trying Aviator Games. We're going to see how Wichita Wolves defend this site as looking to extend into Aviator Games for that defense, and whether or not they're actually going to have a shield playing bathroom, so they're trying to at least maybe stall them when they do push for that master control. But so far, it looks like maybe Aero Academy are trying to push that Aviator Games extension and clear out that roam once again, like they've done last round.
I'll have to deal with Freak getting aggressive on that doorway. Of course, a well-placed nade sent through might take him down. It's still call out the first to fall, though Smitty's not long for this world either. Freak will try to make a play to bring things back more in their favor, but all that happens is he's put to low HP, and Hyper's is eager to go for that kill the moment the intel presents itself. Both him and Mo trapped off the site. Freak finally rears his head, sticks his head out the door, and it ends up to a 3v2, a little bit more manageable, a little bit more palatable as opposed to what it was before. With one player rotating up 90, Freak has to catch Dami off guard, and that simply cannot happen. He's spotted right in front of Dami. Intel pings his location just a couple seconds later, but Dami didn't need that to finish him off. Reed's the only one left. He's all the way across the map, all the way off site, but as Aerial are taking this a little bit slower, they might not read into the fact that Reed is slowly creeping up 90 and Books Hall. They don't have a flank drone watching this position.
Oh, no.
How has this happened? Dami repelling in, he still wins the fight! I thought that could honestly be the play. They just simply did not have a flank drone watching Books. But Dami reacts in time and saves the round.
Well,
Wow.
that was a round once again from Ariel where Wichita Wolves were playing aggressive, but the first two picks were just like, where did they get those first two picks?
So Venatorial got a kill on call out down below, either inside a piano or just inside of like
maybe walking a memorial.
Inside a Z.
Yeah, maybe
he's
walking in a Z, walking memorial, something like that. I don't know.
Then the second kill
was that in
back
bathroom or something? Where was that kill from?
I honestly don't remember where Smitty was playing because I know it was Mo and Freak on the roam on the extension.
Yeah, Mo and Freak are playing AVG.
I truly have no idea where Smitty died. I don't.
Smitty dies. I don't know if he was playing 90 or something like that because I know one was on the window maybe, but I know Mo dies from the window because Mo's playing inside of.
Yeah.
Mohes is playing inside. Mohes is playing inside of games. He gets pre-fired by Dami. That information in his position. He gets downed, and then at that point it was Freak trying to get aggressive. He does bring it back in a sense, still 3v2, but really. It's just the fact that they're trying to play aggressive and take fights against Aero Academy, which we've seen them win fights. We've seen them be aggressive and win those. And again, they win all those. Even though the fact that Reed was coming from behind on flank, Dami had that position. I don't know if he knew he was there from a drone or if he just reacted well enough. But it seems like at this point, Wichita Wolves are trying to fight fire with fire.
Hopefully, see a little bit more success. They retry Aviator Games. Don't think that trophy statuary extension is the play, and I think that they recognize that as well. They'll instead go for something a little bit more traditional. Don't have a smoke, so might see a little bit of a different main stairs hold. They have the Wamai, so they can layer some magnets on main stairs alongside those ADSs. They also have holes made behind bars, so they can contest bottom main if they want to. It would just be behind a Goyo shield, say on top main instead of a smoke, and that's the one issue I'm seeing, though. They might have those two C4s, but without a Tachanka or a smoke, if you're trying to waste time on bottom main or waste time entering into site, all you really have are those C4s, and say if Mohes is taken on early on as he appears to be getting a little bit aggressive, there's not a lot to really delay the attacker's push either around the site or executing onto it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of really indirect denial here for them, like you said. And, well, I guess it'll just come down to those gunfights once again, which I feel like is Aero Academy's, it's their strong suit. You're just kind of giving them what they expect or what they want here when it comes to these engagements or it comes to these executes. So far, it looks like they're just drawn out this trophy saturate set once again. And this time, Wichita Wolves aren't playing for that roam game. They're playing more for these holes, trying to hold red stairs, trying to hold maybe 90 for a period of time. One person downstairs on, looks like maybe Collett's playing on red stairs for the moment, trying to hold off, and a member is going to be playing 90 to try and help him out. It's for a little bit of time. Depends on how long they can actually sit there for. And we'll see how long Aero Academy can actually, well, if they're able to clear it in a decent amount of time. Because like you saw in Cafe, there are times when they couldn't clear things quite fast enough, what did lose them rounds.
Nobody getting too aggressive just yet. There's one player for Wichita Wolves down below, inside of Z, that's believed not Freak, Smitty on the Malusi. One player on red stairs as well. This is a setup from Wichita Wolves that we've seen a little bit before, but it's not how it used to be. Instead of saying a Rooney, it's just some magnets and some ADSs aiding call out on red stairs. Flashbang explodes in his face, but that's why Smitty's down below, to make sure that nobody can creep up the stairs to take down call out. Meanwhile, the Jaeger alongside anybody inside of the site, or Freak in this case playing on the skull door, to make sure that nobody can push in from trophy. And now that his coverage has been taken down, call out tries to get aggressive to trade things out, even it up 4-4. He doesn't find anything yet. Reed peeks directly into Hyper Spray, try to mitigate the damage done, and now, well, there's been plenty of damage done that you simply cannot escape from. 3 rounds in a row, a flawless for number 3 for ARIAL so far. And boy, that collapsed in spectacular fashion.
I guess you just chalked it up to people peeking, really, it seems like. I don't know. Because really, we're trying to, they're up to this red stairs hold from Wichita Wolves. They get to that point, and like you said, Smitty was below to make sure nobody goes up the stairs. But he's playing on top of the stairs, trying to get a pick and trying to stop them from at least make them waste time on that push through 90 or push through Skull. But the members who are playing Skull on the side of Wichita Wolves peek again and again, and they all die doing it. I think Smitty may have been 90. He gets killed as well in the 90 push because somebody's on the 90 repel. Actually, no, maybe not, because I remember Smitty was below. Maybe he returned back through main stairs and then get to 90. I don't know, but he dies too. And then just kind of leaves Call Out by himself on red, and he loses the fight too at that point. It's just, again, it just seems like Wichita Wolves are trying to fight fire. They're trying to take fights against Aero Academy, and they're losing every single one.
Sometimes the issue, if you try to take those 50-50 fights, if they just end up going the opposing team's way a bit more, the strategy sort of falls apart. Because even there, ARIAL, they just sent out the bare minimum utility, cleared it out, and just won the fights when they needed to. Of course, Freak loses his, and
They didn't even destroy the shield.
Exactly. Here, the nice thing, though, for what Wichita Wolves are going for, it's not nearly the case. Reed can play down below with the pulse, and either Mohes or Smitatius, though while the latter's upstairs right now, he can rotate back. They can both play for those C4s in tandem with Reed's, 3 C4s total. They don't have to take those direct gunfights. They can focus more on that indirect denial. Try to blow up a C4, get an early pick if they go for master bedroom control. But here again, ARIAL Arise starting things on the opposite side of the map from the site like they've done in the past few rounds. So those C4s could come into play, but not so soon.
Well, we'll see them go top floor, clear it, and those C4s, yep, a little bit of time before they come into play, but the moment, this is the kitchen defense, and nobody from Wichita Wolves actually playing that top floor. Like talking about, they're probably waiting to see for those members as they open the floor. But Venna, again, the opening pick for Aero Academy, take out call out as he's playing. He was playing below red at the moment. He gets picked off on that below pick. I'm not sure if Venna was below as well, if he just picked him off as he walked up looked towards piano. But Freak on his own inside the living room, he could get pinched out by Aero Academy, gets droned out. Walking in pre-fire, Dominic can't win the fight though. Freak great shot with an MP5. But so far he'll even it up. And now we'll see if Aero Academy is still trying to go for that top floor, or if they're trying to just deal with Freak first.
Definitely trying to deal with Freak. You hear Hyper's Yana clone activated. He gets a second kill as Frozen, the hard breach, tries to move in. Might be a nice shot. You could see him taking refuge below the chair. He gets a third from this exact position as everyone from ARIAL peeks him one by one. Venna on the long angle coverage finally gets a kill. He catches the pulse rotating out. Spiker as well on the opposite side of a wall run rotates just beyond his purview. With 1:25 seconds left in the 2v3, even with that time remaining, ARIAL Arise likely going to have to abandon that top floor if they want to. 2 C4s Sure, the pulse is down, but Venatorial's downstairs right now on the sledge. Take a lot of time to rotate back up and join Spiker, who is currently sitting on top of the kitchen hatch, peering downstairs, hoping somebody maybe takes an ill-advised gunfight. He does find one, not a gunfight, but a rotation that Mohes did not expect. Spiker upstairs catches the mute off guard, and we've returned back to equilibrium with less than 1 minute remaining. Issue here, Venatorial and Spiker both very separated right now. They're taking this time to drone, and that's good. They're not getting too ahead of themselves. They're getting any last bit of intel they can. But as they are separate, one pushing Memorial, one pushing Brown Stairs, all they have to do is the defense. If they just win 2 1v1s, they could win this round. Spiker not looking the right way, gets taken down as Smitty catches the Nomad distracted with the Banshee. Venatorial's moved over to Pantry. He can sledge open this door and catch the defense off guard. But now in the 1v2, they have a crossfire. Gonna be hard for Venatorial to try to take both down at the same time with the Guzmont mine as well. They know he's on the opposite side of this barricade, and now that single inhibition of their sightline has been removed. Freak and Smitty both holding this angle. The latter has a C4 too, as a nade is sent on in. Venatorial tries to take the fight. It's still the Mozzie to win it out, and as a result, he gives Wichita Wolves their first round.
Well, good round from Wichita Wolves, really, but I say that it's really just mostly Freak. Freak given 3 1v1s inside the living room, leaving it up to a 3v2. Sure, and then Mohes gets taken down by one of the members of ARIAL Academy, making it 2v2. But Spiker, unfortunately, not really aware of where these members are at. Smitty having his position either through a drone or some intel, knows where Spiker's at. Pre-fires with the wall, kills him, leaves Vena in a 1v2, and especially the Grismont mine going off. His position is pretty much known at that point. He runs to a crossfire, can't win that fight, and it gives Wichita Wolves the first round. But really, can you really call that dependable, though? Just the only reason they won that was because Freak took 3 1v1s and won them all.
Well, if Arrow Rise are going to mess up entries in a similar way, it might be sustainable. Of course, you are relying on the opponent's mistakes, but hey, if they're starting to get sloppy in their second batch of attacking rounds, could be possible. Here, for Aviator Games, didn't really have a similar situation. They weren't actively trying to, say, take fights like Freak was doing. Or maybe not actively. I suppose he was reacting a little bit, but here we just had Call Out playing in a position on Red Stairs, Freak on Skull Door, and Spitatious down below. All trying to hold that Red Stair side and say, hey, Attack, you got to clear me out, but waste all this utility if you try to take a fight. I have these 2 guys where if you push from one way, they can peek you and potentially trade me out if I end up losing my life. Problem is that didn't work in any way, shape, or form. They took those fights and they ended up losing them, unfortunately, as happens sometimes. They're running the same lineup as they did before, so if they go for the same setup, that is to be seen. Doesn't appear that they are, but never mind, actually. As I say, that call-out is on red, so they could be going for something similar.
Well, let's see this time. Well, Smitty's going to be, again, playing his backup and see how, if ARIAL Academy do this. But really, the fact that last time there was no shield destroyed on, Aviator table, and they still were peeking through the doorway rather than around the shield and losing those fights to ARIAL Academy is kind of crazy. And this time too as well, especially if they want to just waste time, they don't need to play the Red Stairs for their lives. They just need to waste time, make sure Wichita Wolves, have no time to execute. But I say that as well. Well, this time at least they have smokes. They don't just relying on the C4s for the indirect denial. They have the smokes in hand, so they can at least waste time, get to the point where Wichita Wolves are forced, or ARIAL Academy are forced to plant. But I will say that when looking aggressive, looks like there's the Goyo of Mohes pre-firing through board. Doesn't get any kills though. Hypers has intel of his position. I'm assuming someone ARIAL Academy will probably go to 90 window to get us cut off.
It's usually Dami who plays that position, rotating over to 90 window. Right now he's holding a long angle outside of Boar, maybe to get an angle on Call Out. I don't know if he can actually see him from there. I'm not too sure, but that does mean that because he's not there, he does allow Mohes to play with a lot more freedom than he would otherwise. They can deny that position, I believe, maybe from outside the window. I'm not too sure on my my angle play right here, but it's certainly still a good one that either you can exploit from close or long. Dami does finally go on that 90 repel, so Mohes can't play with the same freedom he did before. Spitatious rotates down through library, doesn't find anybody just yet, and it's still a 5v5 for the moment.
Ooh. C4 unfortunately thrown out, and towards the run out. Smitty getting aggressive, and Dami's ready for it. Down he goes. They've opened up the single wall from Boar outwards, try and push out Call Out. Pre-fires come through. They haven't pushed him out, and this is the time. This is important. Sure, they're down a man, but it's important just to waste time and make sure ARIAL Academy, when they go to execute, they're down there. It looks like Mohes will win that fight, though. pre-fires in position. Dami's not there to refrag or cut him off, so that's kind of big for Wichita Wolves. If maybe Call at this point can back off and come back to site, this could be around for Wichita Wolves with those smoke canisters.
No, you can see there's one creeping up from down below. Call has to win this fight or else he's just a dead man walking at this point. Spiker slowly creeping up, frozen. Both the Hibana and the Jackal slowly snaking forward in tandem. Spiker's there to catch the Jaeger once he rotates down. He can do that easily as Call just accepts his fate sitting in that corner. But as you mentioned earlier, look at the time wasted. 30 seconds left. Reed is off the site, but he can rotate back up, lay down some of these toxic canisters, but can ARIAL use that window remaining to push on in? They have to deal with Freak on the shield. Nobody's cleared him off. Venator can land the pre-fire pretty easily, but as Reed retakes Study, he whiffs all of his shots. He's not able to take the fight, and Venatorial reacts just in time. Mohess, no C4, 1 HP as well. How this round has tumbled out of Wichita Wolves' favor, despite the brilliant maneuver to sacrifice Smitty, rotate Mo 90, and hold down for a minute longer. Still doesn't matter, because ARIAL Arise move into the site before Wichita can react.
Yeah, that gives us 2 points. That situation was, well, again, that first part, you had to trade there. Smitty jumps out, lose the Dom. Dami's ready for it. Mohess still able to aggress, take out Hypers in return, but then comes to the play of Callout. Callout on red stairs, unfortunately, losing his chance because Smitty had walked off. He had jumped out. There was no support. He didn't have a chance to then back off and go back to site. So from there, Callout's now somehow have to win a fight. He doesn't, unfortunately. He loses both. He loses that fight. He dies. And then from there, the attack has to then push on the site, get the execute down, get that plant. But really, there's no time left. So I'm thinking it's good because the shield is still playing it. There's still shield and aviator. There's still shield for the teams, the members on which Wolves will play behind. But despite that shield being there, Venice still wins the fight, killing the person on site. Reed then in Study tries to aggress after that. Throws smoke canister. Actually, he pre-fired Vena first, missed the pre-fire, and then throws the smoke canister, which then allows Vena off of that to pre-fire him back as he's throwing the smoke canister to get that kill. And from there, well, it's Mohess in a 1v4. And at that point, too, he already had no HP from that previous engagement with Hypers, getting shot in the back from Dami. There. Oh, you see that ARIAL kind of win that round. We're on the last round of the defense here for the Wolves, and ARIAL Academy have just looked flawless. Not really flawless, but looked really good so far.
5-1 on your attacking half for Villa would be very good. Be very good for you moving into your defenses. Of course, ARIAL's attacks have, at least on Cafe, were much better than their defenses, so it might not be as much of a blessing, but it's still something that before we see anything, you can say, ooh, feeling good moving forward. Wichita Wolves will try to hold Aviator Games once again, as it's, of course, not the side, I mean, but hold Aviator Games the position, like they tried to previously. Freak moving to the Mozzie to try and deny some intel, but here we go again. ARIAL. Not necessarily, actually, no, not here we go again. As opposed to before, ARIAL have always done their takes on the opposite side of the map from the site this go around. They're on the same side, of course, a floor below, but this is completely bypassing everything Wichita Wolves are going for. Colo will realize that very soon and pull all the way back. There is some compensation by the defense. Mo and Freak both rotate down, and while Dami's almost able to take down the Mozzie and completely, shut down the defense, it's instead Freak to nail Dami through the wall. And sure, you've lost the mute, but just by instead deciding, hey, they're not pushing Aviator Games, let's show them that was a mistake. Let's push them. They're able to get 2 kills on the 2 entries for ARIAL.
That's big for Wichita Wolves. Looking great start, but can Freak get another, or can he back off alive? He's actually going to be able to back off Astral Stairs. Nobody cuts him off. He's back to site. They haven't wasted a whole lot of time, though, but getting those 2 picks. Now they're leaving to ARIAL Academy to pick up the pieces and to show them, well, show us that they can actually still make an attack happen despite being down 2 people on their attack. And so far now, well, it looks like they're downstairs throwing grenades from below, trying to see if they can push any of these members out. Spiker will get the footprints on Freak, but Freak's already back in sight, so those footprints, unfortunately, are not much help here for the attacking team on ARIAL Academy. And really, with a minute left, they haven't really done much otherwise. What other control do they have to make this execute happen?
Well, not too much so far. They gambled a lot on that downstairs play, but the moment a mute and a Mozzie-sized rock was thrown in their path, plan was upended without much of a second option to fall back on. Moving over to 90, just outside of both Trophy and Statuary, Spiker's crosshair lands directly on Reed's head, but the Maestro reacts quicker. Now, Frozen is alone on the top floor. Venatorial can easily rotate up, but before, if they had minimal opportunities to acquire map control, now those options are basically gone. They have to go for these kills, and they are simply not going their way whatsoever. The Sledge are now the only one left. User drop close to sight. His only viable option is to go for those kills, as getting the bomb down in this position is simply impossible. C4 wasted. Freak uses that very, no, not that very angle. Still able to get the kill on Venatorial nonetheless, though. 4-2 half. Wichita Wolves in their defense. So while they win the final round, it's still a half that ARIAL probably won.
It's looking good for ARIAL, but still, 4-2 half is much more doable than a 5-1 when it comes to that return. So, hey, ain't over yet just yet. We gotta see which Wolves in their attack now. As so far, it's been the entry game when it came to ARIAL Academy's attacks that really won them most of those attacks. So we'll see if Wichita Wolves can do the same, or if they're going to play more of that, execute game where they're going to get the plant down, like we saw in Cafe at times, that really gave them some of those rounds. And we'll see if they can actually thwart that aggression that we've seen so much from ARIAL Academy on their defenses. We go trophy stats rate first for ARIAL Academy, and the looks of it doesn't seem to be too crazy from the defense, but Legion isn't that very often though.
No, we have seen him a couple times before. I believe it might have been Smitatius on Wichita Wolves who brought him a little bit on Cafe, but yeah, still not an operator we see all too often. But for ARIAL Arise, obviously you can see with some reinforcements dedicated early on, they want to hold Aviator games. Gumides can be very good. There's a lot of entry points for the attack. They can move up main stairs, they could move in through study. Say if there's 90 window as well, it's not an entry point, but they could start moving up 90 if you say have fallen back and you're not holding it as actively anymore. Those Gumides can provide a lot of intel as to, okay, they've made it up this far. Okay, if I peek this guy, he might be caught in an animation. So it's still one that not only allows Frozen to have some indirect utility, but also just gives him a good gun that he can use if he wants to hold inside Aviator games and play for those fights, something that he's comfortable with and could very well aid him the moment Wichita Wolves go over to that side. We also saw ARIAL try to bypass it completely in the round prior. The Wolves might go for the exact same play.
Well, they're bringing a Dokubi along, and usually Dokubi does kind of maybe signal like maybe going for roam clear, but same point, maybe just for that execute. Like remember we talked about when PB talked about having that Dokubi on board could make it so you can't be on cams during the execute, which was more for a Maestro more anything really. But we'll see if that influences their roam clear or influences their execute as we go into it. And looks like a drone out. They're gonna see who's around. They're gonna see Legion, of course, of Frozen walking back towards site as he's peeking the board window. Maybe call it once to try and get that kill, but he's just kind of walking around wasting some time. And so far I think they're aware that this point Wichita Wolves aren't trying to clear the Aviator game site, so they are returning near side at least in some kind of proximity base so they can play off of the intel that they're given by their teammates. What the?
Nami just somehow manages to cross bore window despite somebody being there, and Venatorial gets the opening pick as well. Freak the first to fall for the attack, and there's nobody directly contesting Astro. Again, another oversight by ARIAL. They like to leave these key positions undefended, and sure, Wichita Wolves might have lost the opening duel, but they have Astro control. Still, again, a player on Astro window. Dami still creeps in. It's equal man count, and taking down the smoke for the Ash, I'll take that deal anytime. Now with Dami off of the camera, it's actually the attack who manages to slip in this time. Unnoticed, Reed manages to get a kill, but it's still a 2v3. One player trapped outside the window. He's now the only one left. Mo will rotate all the way to the top of the roof, and knowing this round is lost, might be taking an effective tactical timeout. As there, Dami not only managed to cross Boar with somebody covering it, managed to cross into Astro with 3 people covering it.
His cell phone was going off too. I thought they would have heard that.
His cell phone going off too. He's completely unnoticed behind Astro desk. Wichita Wolves still lost their fights inside of the site, but that is honestly incredible that it happened once and that was bad enough. Then it happened a second time and it was way worse than the first time.
Yeah, I was scared too because you're talking about the fact that they had, that full wall open inside of Trophy. And they're gonna probably kill him. Yep, so I could get the kill. But again, not having anyone in Astro and then having that far, I guess, closest to the split, that wall open inside a Trophy facing the Astro window. A lot of teams don't have that open for a reason because you can just find easy shots in a Trophy and make it, well, difficult to play Trophy in the first place. But despite that, ARIAL Academy are able to play inside a Trophy, Dami specifically able to make it back in a Trophy, then walk into Astro is ridiculous. And we saw that from even then, like Link was talking about, even after that, Wichita Wolves were still losing their fights, walking this anyway. So I feel like Wichita Wolves really just going for that Astro, bedroom, bathroom play. But unfortunately, they're able to not win their fights, not taking quite the control they need to. I don't know if they opened the wall. I couldn't see if they opened the tri-wall. I don't know if they did or not. I think they did. But despite the open holes, whether it be the tri-wall, whether it be Astro into Trophy, just not able to win those gunfights despite that is kind of crazy for me. But we'll see as we go on to our next site. And really, that was a round where Aerial Academy played it well. They played off of it. When they heard a call that someone was pushing towards site, they pulled back, and they're able to play it in that situation where usually, in most times in Cafe, they wouldn't pull back fast enough. It would be the time Wichita Wolves would have took the site.
I see timeout from Wichita Wolves is trying to go over what's going wrong, how they can adjust to these issues going forward. With Trophy out of the way, Ariel will rotate to Aviator Games. I don't imagine we'll see them go for the same Red Stairs play like we saw Wichita do. Instead, based on the lineup I'm seeing right now, which of course you cannot see, so spoilers. While it is similar to what Wichita Wolves did, in fact, I think aside from the exclusion of Agoyo, it's the exact same lineup, at least to like the final iteration of Wichita Wolves defense. I imagine this will be more focused over towards main stairs, unless Frozen rotates to Agoyo and they go for the exact same play. No, it will be a clash. So yeah, they might still contest over by 90. That is something that the clash could be good for, is trying to push a little bit up to 90, not past the window, but still make it difficult for the attack to get to. It's something they could go for. But if Wichita Wolves are just very, very careless with their clear, like they were entering into Astra on the side last time, they'll definitely see the clash. I guarantee you they won't miss that. But they might miss some other factors, say, the players playing around her, if they haven't fixed those issues in the timeout.
Yeah, I remember last time Wichita Wolves when they had this defense too. The fact they had the shield in Aviator didn't really do much. You saw both times the shield, they didn't play behind the shield, or when they did play behind the shield, the person got pre-fired by Vena. So maybe having a moving shield is going to be a different story when it comes to that, playing Skull or just playing aggressive in general. We'll see from the side of Aerial Academy, and yeah, we'll see if they can hopefully clear better for Wichita Wolves. Maybe not lose some of those details like players around the clash or just in specific situations you wouldn't expect them to be. But so far, let's see what they do here. Looks like Wichita Wolves are clearing from Master's side for the moment. Let's see the spawns. Maybe someone early going from Wichita Wolves try and take control of study, as that will be the later thing to do, is take control of study. I will say there's a lack of hard breaching on the side of Wichita Wolves though for this.
There is a lack in that there is none. There is zero hard breaching for Wichita Wolves. Thought maybe you'd see some hard breach charges maybe, but no. No Hibana, no nothing.
Who here has hard breach charges actually?
I don't know, because if you're using hard breach charges on Villa, I feel like you're starting from an incorrect conclusion.
That's true too. Because yeah, they can't open any walls. They can't open the single wall in Aviator. They can't open the vault wall. I mean, I don't foresee this. No,
well, what I was gonna say, the nice thing though is they do have a lot of useful secondary utility and primary utility as well. They have those nades, and one lands directly on Venatorial. Once they end up pushing Frozen, who has already retreated back into the site, they have a lot of utility to deal with him as well. And bringing the Dokkaebi and the Lion, anybody playing off-site for Ariel can be found and isolated quickly just based off of the utility. But now that they've pushed back into the site, if, say, the secondary utility fails, they're not able to get these nade kills. They can open the wall, thankfully. Or no, actually, never mind. No, they can't open the wall because they don't have hard breach. I was like, wait, they don't have a cave. But no, they literally can't open the wall. Never mind. I'm silly. There's still an angle they can use. Part of the Aviator wall is open, so they can look into that, but...
Again, Dami just runs by.
Dami's just evading all the cover.
He just walks by cross lines and nobody kills him, punishes him for it. But so far, I will say it is kind of an issue though, because they're down a man and Frozen's on the class. They only have 3 people to really shoot back. There's not a lot of ways they can, there's a lot of angles that they'd be worried about here. As looks like Dami's in the corner. He turns around at the wrong time, but Spitty elsewhere takes the hypers, and Dami's still alive. Kind of crazy enough, and he kills Mohes. Well, he should be dead though. Someone pre-firing him.
What?
How
Come
how
on,
did he win
man!
that?
He's 1 health! You saw him!
And he kills. Oh, Freak got killed though. It's him in a 2v2 though. Frozen's on a shield though, so it's still a difficult position. Frozen's now dead because Freak pushes in. Dami gets to retrade, but Freak said he needs to trade back, and Wichita was to win that round despite Dami getting 3 kills he shouldn't have gotten.
So, obviously the strategy there for Wichita Wolves, they said, hey, we could open walls. What if instead we just brought utility and just tried to flood the site? And let's be honest with ourselves, it was working. Dami getting those kills there was a little bit of an oversight, because before that, Venatorial died to a nade, and Hypers their smoke for Aerial Arise. If Wichita Wolves were lacking key utility and hard breaching, Aerial didn't really have much in the way of, say, bomb denial, plant denial. They had those smokes, but the moment Hypers fell, they didn't really have anything else to fill that same niche. That round only is as close is because Dami's put down to low HP instead of finished off, and he's able to miraculously win those fights with the players pushing him main stairs and then later move into study. They still end up losing the round, but that strategy worked very well for Wichita Wolves, just flooding in and using that utility. Frozen will rotate from the Clash to the Goyo. Also see a Thunderbird brought. Don't know how big I'm a fan of sacrificing your smoke for the Thunderbird, personally, in terms of utility. Especially because if they were, say, wanting to get aggressive and that's why they did, okay. But Hypers is placing the majority of his utility in the site right now, and that's where he played last time. I don't imagine him playing off-site here. I don't know. Feels like a bit of a... I don't think 2 C4s are enough.
Well, that's if they even go for a plant. They could be just which was going to be going for kills at this point with the lineup they have.
But even then, smoke is nice. Hey, they're flooding the site.
Nice.
Let's toss some toxic canisters at Skull Door, and now they can't push for 10 seconds.
And now, yeah, they're also full reinforcing the aviator wall too, knowing that they're not bringing any hard breaching on the
like
side
that.
of Wichita
That's good.
Wolves, which is a good call. So now, like you said, though, it's going to come to denying the play. If they aren't going to play aggressive, though, and they only have 2 C4s to do so, we'll see, though. As Freak's already on the study balcony, they're going to start through, and already Frozen kills Spiker for some reason.
Ow.
I don't know if that was on purpose. It looked like it's on purpose. Freak started walking in, though. He's dead to Hypers, though, as he runs in. It's a 4v4, even it up. First pick against Wichita Wolves, of course, because they caused Spiker to die somehow. And now Dami's in a position where he should die here. It's nice they should, but he's going to play it out, and the person pokes off.
Hey, he's not died yet as the Dokkaebi calls continue to ring all around Aviator Games. Dami is still alive. There's one player close on that study doorway as one rotates and pushes up main stairs. A C4 detonates at his feet. He's only able to get 1 kill. Callout takes down Dami. It's a 3v3 in the end. With Frozen on low HP, he has those Kona stations inside of sight. So despite the loss earlier, he can still pick up and make up the HP gap. And now it's on Wichita Wolves to try to recover and figure out what to do. At minute 50 remaining. A lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time. Mohus is going to push forward, and it looks like this is Ravenna. Venna pushed off for this situation to hold red to make sure nobody goes for that flank. He pre-fires, gives his position away. Hypers is intel on the push from Classical. Yana, of course, the gem player from Smitty will get some information. Venna's going to return back to site, knowing that one's coming from behind them, knowing that the 2 others are coming from that main stairs side. He's going to push back to site and, regroup with his teammates and give them the intel so they can wait for this eventual push. But because they can't open any walls, though, it's ready to come down taking these disadvantaged gunfights for Wichita Wolves, which they can still win.
Second and final Dokkaebi call goes out. Hyper's holding a tight angle on the books hallway, but nobody from Wichita is opting to push just yet. Another Dokkaebi call goes out with no capitalization, maybe just to stop the aggression. You can hear him hack the cameras, try to find any small bit of intel that could potentially even the odds for Wichita Wolves, because again, it might be even, but as Benny mentioned, no hard breach. They can't open these walls. They just have to push these doorways and win these fights and make do with the angles that are either built within the map or that Aerial Arise has made for them. Move over to study and Skull Door. A nade sent out too, but it doesn't find anything. Clears out the games table, but not much beyond that. Smitacious still has one more. Could send it into Vault and land directly at Frozen's feet, but it gets stuck on the door, and both the secondary utility for the Yana is expended with no capitalization. Hypers rips his C4. The Wolves are likely hear that and are likely scared to push in as a result, but Smitty still takes the plunge, tries to move forward. With Mohas falls. Frozen picks up 2 with a nice clean spray. It's match point. Aerial Arise Academy, 1 round away from playoffs.
Yeah, despite killing Spiker in the beginning for Aerial Academy, Wichita Wolves still end up losing it, unfortunately. Just really due to a trade of kills. Getting up those stairs, nobody killed Dami, but a C4 kills Callout in return. Still keeping it close. They had the first pick elsewhere too as well, but just keeping it close in the end. And then in the end, it was a 3v3, but they have, again, like we said before, no hard breaching. You're down to a minute to work with, to try to play with, but you have no hard breaching to get anywhere. You're just going to walk through doorways, and the rest of the players in Air Academy just waiting for you. One thing is good, though, is no indirect denial. So it would be interesting maybe if they would try to go for a plant and held maybe the door. But at that point, because it's 3v3 and there's not a lot of control coverage, they could have went for a flank. So I don't know what the play should have been there because you don't have any hard breaching. Hard to say. Maybe go for a plant behind the wall. Might have baited them out.
Well, we'll finally see some hard breaching from Wichita Wolves. Reed goes to the Hibana. It's the player I expected to pick it up. It might be too little too late, though. It's useful on Trophy Statuary, but here now Aerial are actually bringing that hard breach denial. Venatorial has moved back to the Cade, so if he electrifies that triple wall, whether with 1 Electroclaw or 2, if he's trying to be cheeky, Wichita Wolves, of course, will have to take the time to clear that out, and then they can use their hard breaching, but again, the opportunity might be gone to fully take advantage of that. They can also use it to say maybe try to clear out Aviator games, put more pressure onto the players playing in those areas. We'll just have to see, but those 2 Aviator games rounds, or those 2 defenses, sort of slipped away from the defense in certain situations. Or for the
last time they
attack, excuse
played
me.
Trophy stats where I think they had the bottom last time, but I don't know if they opened the wall or not, because like you said, there's 2 electric claws on that wall. In cheeky places, of course, because they're trying to make sure they can't get destroyed. So I don't know if they actually opened the wall last time or not. Maybe it's why they stopped bringing the hard bridge, because they, you know, how well they played the electric claws of Kaid. But we'll see so far. It looks like they're actually going to clear this room. Last time they didn't clear this room, they're going for, you know, mainly a bathroom Astro push on the side of Wichita Wolves. So see, this time actually going to try and roam clear. They see, oh, Spiker sees the head right there, the freak of the Astro freak there, and he's going to back off. Spiker takes some damage on the back off because one's on the skull window, pre-firing into the window, but they're going to back off, not actually take those aggressive fights like we've seen from Aero Academy in the past.
ARIAL, though, sitting at the bricks doorway, here's the window opened up. He just fires a couple shots and instead doesn't play it too risky. He'll rotate back in. That's good, especially the only C4 for the attack and playing a very useful position on that main wall. Be a very dangerous position to have cleared. Wichita Wolves opt to go for an entrance into statuary, like as appears to be what they're going for right now. Clearing over an Aviator games, then moving on over, they'll likely try to make a play on that statue doorway, but their options are still very open right now as for what they can do. I like this scenario, though. They're not trying to create opportunities for the attack. There's Frozen down below, but Freak is still able to find Spiker, rotating all the way over to the statue. The Ash catches him off guard. It's the opening pick going for the attack. None contested at that.
Well, so far, it's been a general take. So far, I don't think it's crazy, but Freak actually, he walks in. He knows nobody's watching it. Great shot in the Vena to entry once more for Wichita Wolves for this round. They seem to not be able to get these electric claws off, though, so it's going to have to walk these doorways. But with the man advantage, it could work out great, especially because they have the intel they need. Freak, though, great shot, but it's actually Smitty. No, actually from the board window to take out Hypers. Dami's there to try and refight. He gets 2 for him. He denies. He drops the planter on the floor. Frozen with him to kill on a Smitty from the board window. Wow, it's turned around quite quickly for these teams. And now they can back off, play the time even more, and wait for Carlo and Mohes to make their move.
Flash grenade goes in, but it does not blind Dami, so him and Frozen still at their full faculties to deal with the 2v2. One player pushing in from bedroom, the other inside of 90, or outside of Bore, excuse me. But it's still separate for the attack right now, and not much time to coalesce and consolidate with only 30 seconds remaining. Both nades sent out. Callout has to jump in blind. He catches Frozen, but it doesn't matter in the end. 2v5 for Frozen and Dami to send themselves to playoffs and to knock out the CL team of Wichita Wolves who end their season 1-2.
What a round right there. And yeah, they said that was a 2v5 right there. That was an execute waiting to happen. Freak giving Wichita Wolves their entries to make that play happen. But unfortunately, just Dami just getting into statuary. Once again, being able to stop the play entirely. Both members trying to walk into bricks and get that plan down with the play of Freak. Being able to deny that entirely and make it so that the last 2 players on the side of Wichita Wolves have to make a play there. And they're already split apart too, so they have to somehow reconvene on the last members. They don't even know where they are exactly. So there's great work from Aero Academy, and Wichita Wolves unfortunately just not playing as we expect them to.
Congratulations to ARIAL Academy making on through. It's been a very close season so far, so nice for them that the final game to make it into playoffs is a clean 2-0. You don't need to expend as much energy on this one as you did before. And of course, unfortunate for Wichita Wolves, they had to bring in Smitty last minute. Did the best that they could with the materials that they had. And honestly, still making it here, winning that second game with a sub on the board, I have to say, flaws all around. Very good effort. And we can all appreciate the Wichita Wolves for the effort that they put in. But for ARIAL Academy, going forward, it's not like they've played a perfect game. I still think going into playoffs, they're definitely might be still one of the weaker teams going in. Still plenty of flaws that have only seemed to persist over the course of the season that we still saw today. Shaky entry, not playing off of intel either being late or non-existent. Attacks even then still being slow if they can make that ground happen. But they've at least made it to playoffs. 2-0, they can take this time to work on it. They don't need to be fighting for their life on a map 3.
Yeah, they can take the time, figure things out, and see if they can fix the mistakes. But because some of those mistakes they make are going to be much more endangering of their game when it comes to playing teams like One Aerial Rise, or playing against IF, or playing against the other teams in other groups. When it comes to, or Surf or Mystic, really too, they're going to take full advantage of that.
And of course, we will have, don't know yet, but we will have some statistics to go over the series and an interview as well with one of the players who I believe it is Dami, who we will be talking to go over what will happen. We'll bring him in when the time is right. And of course, one thing I'm definitely going to ask him, I was wondering, depending on who it is, depending on if I ask that question, it is Dami. I got to ask how in the past, like 3 rounds, he's just been able to rotate past every attacker on the face of the earth 3 rounds in a row.
How would you win that fight at the top face?
Don't know. Dami just seemed to refuse to die in that case. But you can take a look at the map statistics before we get into that interview, of course. Dami, as we mentioned, kind of did some miraculous stuff in the defense, and it makes sense. He is the MVP in that map. And the only one who even came close for Wichita was Freak. And honestly, 13-7, 1.41, pretty impressive for 7-3.
I must say, Freak had a lot of rounds where he opened it up for his team to win in certain rounds. And certain rounds they won it, sometimes they didn't. And it's just unfortunate that he's doing so well, but unfortunately the rest of the team can't quite follow behind.
Then for Aerial Rise Academy, of course, Dami topping the leaderboards. Him and Frozen, of course, having that clutch. It makes sense. Like, you know, they clutch the 2v5. Yep. Odds are that's going to boost their stats a little bit. It's gonna maybe make them a little bit higher than everyone else. Venatorial, of course, having a great map number 1. He also tapered off, but only comparatively speaking, for map number 2. Spiker and Hypers maybe not having the best game, but overall, I would say it's nice. Throughout both series, I feel like everyone on Aerial Rise showed up, and flip side, Wichita just, all of them seemed to go quiet at the exact wrong time. But we finally have Dami. We can get him on the line and dissect it, how this pug stack of players who don't want to play anymore, it seems like at times, somehow managed to make it to playoffs. So, Dami, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello.
All right. So, first thing I got to ask. This was a stack of players who had all quit the game and were just making it for fun. Not only did you qualify for the league, you've now made playoffs. That's it. Just what do you have to say about that? Like, how are you even here?
Well, like, I don't know. It's like our group. We got a pretty easy group. I think. I should wait. No, you guys just got us like the group of death, or whatever. But I don't know. Like T3 is like real. Like T3 and like half of T2 is just really bad, right? Like even me, I quit the game, and then I quit the game. Frozen like has not played in like a whole bunch of months. Hippos haven't really played. I think Spiker's the only really that like consistently played the game. But it's just like a lot of these players have been just in the league for so long, and they just have not improved. So it's just kind of like it's kind of just like a cleanup, you know? I don't know.
Is that what you're doing, Dami? Are you cleaning up, T3 and T2?
Cleaning up T3 and T2.
Well, in the game today, obviously on map number 1, it was very close. Obviously, overtime 8-7 to get there. Going towards Cafe, is it even a situation where I don't know how much you guys scrim? You know, I remember on Two-Face people were like, oh, you know, we don't scrim, but like they were definitely scrimming at least a little bit. I don't know. Were you guys even really prepared going in like, oh crap, you know, we got Cafe, or does it even matter? It feels like at times for your guys' play style. I
just kind of show up. But like
that's good. You can at least count on that.
I'm waking up on time now. But we usually scrim like three maps before game day, and like that's okay. Like I just scrim like once or twice, but besides that, we don't really like consistently scrim.
I just don't know if it was like an FPL Queen situation where you were just showing up off of pure vibes or whatnot.
No.
So
we skip like once before game day. And
all right, fair enough. I was about to say, there's no way Frozen is letting you get away with 0 scrims. I imagine we're getting at least 1. But moving towards Villa, you specifically had a defensive half that could be characterized as miraculous. It felt like every single round you would just cross attackers watching your position and then get a massive amount of kills. In the final couple rounds there, how much of it was just, you know, you going huge, which you did, or how much did it feel that Wichita were just kind of taking their foot off the gas?
I feel like I should have been dead half the time. Like I promise, like
I would agree with that. Personally.
Like my positioning since coming back from quitting has been atrocious, honestly. But like I kind of put myself in there for fun. I don't know. Like Mo and Freak are like kind of frauds, so like it's more just like winning gunfights against them. Like I'm put in situations where I just have to win a 1, and it's like I'm gonna win that 1. So it's okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, you certainly won enough ones to win map number 2 and enough ones overall for your team to win the series. So clearly you're talking some trash, talking some smack to some of these T2, T3 players. Anything to say to those people that somehow let you guys get into playoffs?
Shout out to Kala. I like Kala a lot. He's really good. He's probably the best player in Wichita right now. And there's not much to say besides like Frozen, Vena, and Hippos are all 18, and then we're going to the playoffs pretty strong. We beat Wichita and Nocturnes, both CL teams that made playoffs, and they're all 18 trying to go for CL spots next stage. So come on. That's what I said.
Well, I know we'll all be watching you to see if you can make a deep playoffs run, and wishing you the best of luck, Dami, Frozen, and everyone else. So thank you for your game tonight, and good luck in the playoffs.
Thank you. You too.
I've done like 2 interviews for SCS. One was with Gunnar, and one was with Dami. And both times, there has been so much shade thrown at the other teams. Thoroughly entertaining as always. Thank you, Dami. But if you want to take a look, we also have some stats from the overall series to take a look at. And what do you know? It's not Dami number 1. Just kidding. It's Vena number 1. Dami's number 2. He's still
Vena
up
had a lot of entries. So did Hypers. Like Hypers and Vena had 5 and 3 entries. That's pretty good.
You know, you'd think for Sony being 5 and 3 on the entry, it might be a little bit higher. But Hypers, of course, having a bit of a quiet series, but Venatorial and Dami, definitely the ones up there. Also nice to see Frozen getting up there, too. Unfortunately, Dami's favorite player call-out is only 2nd. He's not 1st.
Obviously, yeah, Freak was 1st. He did the most, unfortunately, but his team, unfortunately, could not fall behind too much. But hey, I'd say we can see ARIAL Academy in the playoffs, see how well they do, and we'll talk about the bracket so far, what we've been seeing in the match so far in the entire season, and what will be happening later today and Thursday.
Yep. As you can tell, or you will see, while you're seeing right now, ARIAL will fight Two-Faced in one round of the best of 3s, and that's the only bracket that has been, or the only section of a bracket that has been fully figured out yet. We do have Surf, Mystic, and Aqualix all in the playoffs so far, but we still have a couple more games. 1 more today, right after this, and then 2 more, I believe, on Thursday.
Yep.
To find out who makes it in the playoffs. And so, Benny, what game is it tonight? You forgot it earlier. What's the game after this one?
Eclectic One-Shot.
Eclectic One-Shot. They already played in the season. I don't know if it was the first match of SCS Season 6, but I think it was. Okay, it was actually the first. I knew it was either the first or the second. I couldn't remember which one it was. So,
rematch.
A rematch of the first match of the season. But before we go to break, I want to shout out another one of our sponsors, Mavix Gaming Chairs. The chairs that are both designed for gamers to be comfortable and also have air conditioning. Benny and I, of course, want them to have a massage chairs. Yeah. I've actually started drawing up plans to have one that I'm going to send to the Mavix Corporation. Again, you can have that one for free. I just that's got to be such a moneymaker right there. It needs to happen. But of course, Mavix Gaming Chairs are still great the way they are. Go to mavix.com/nerdstreet and use the code NSG55 to get $55 off your order, which is a monumental deal for pretty much anything. But beyond that, that's it for game number 1. We have 1 shot collected after this. Say goodbye to Benny and say hello to Harrison, who will be joining us for series number 2, and we will see you in just a few minutes for that game.